What is up? Is there a rumor that has Rodon to the Phillies?
Susan Slusser just put out first of all, I've heard that actually a number of times over the week, that they're one of the teams that's now really in on starting pitching, but she gave 3 teams as those most interested in Rodon: Phillies, Cardinals, Twins. I think coincidental, unfortunate, and potentially embarrassing that 2 of the 3 teams are literally the teams you're trying to catch, and you may give them Carlos Rodon. Now, I don't know if the Giants are going to do it, but apparently those are the teams that are most in.
You know, I was checking out your podcast with Hunter Pence.
What'd you think, Lair?
Well, I
was checking out your YouTube show last
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Larry Krueger on 95.7 The Game with Daryle Guru Johnson. No mention about, the redheaded eye candy or the handsome Mark.
No, he's got a different YouTube he's talking about.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Krueg cast.
Oh, yeah.
The personal one. Yeah,
he's YouTubing this as we speak.
Slightly salty last night.
Yeah, it's called 95.7 The Larry.
I thought it was very interesting that that Hunter Pence suggested the same guy that I suggested to you last week.
He did.
Joey Gallo.
He gave very different reasons.
Did you push back on Hunter Pence?
I did not like the idea then. I don't like it now, and apparently needed to the Giants because he's a Dodger.
I saw that.
Yeah. No, it was interesting what he was saying, especially from this perspective. Hunter seemed to see a little bit of himself in Joey from not numbers perspective, but the perspective of going from an angry fan base to San Francisco, and how for certain guys, that is really what they need for success. What they might need, that different scene that you talked about, he said it was literally about the fans. Gallo is someone who does not respond to the New York anger.
Right.
Hunter did not love the Philadelphia anger. And you look at not just Hunter's success, but the way he's literally almost become, he's practically a mascot for Giants fans now in his post-career. And a lot of that, he said, was because he's like, I went out to right field after a strikeout, and they're like encouraging me. And he's like, oh, I'm out there going, what the hell's going on? I've never seen anything like this in my life. You're encouraging me after failure? What the hell is this? And he loved it. And he said, and it invigorated him. And he sees Joey Gallo potentially as that kind of guy.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I saw. New York doesn't work for everybody, right? It didn't work for Kenny Rogers or Ed Whitson or whatever. It didn't work for Gallo, but doesn't mean he won't work somewhere else. I bet you he plays a lot better for the Dodgers.
You still got to do your job.
He's also bad in Texas.
He can't be worse than he's been.
I mean, he's low average.
Strike out every other at-bat. Every 2 at-bats, he strikes out in New York. So I don't know how much better he can get, but for the Dodgers, there's no pressure. As I was telling Spadoni, as long as you don't stink between the 4th and the 7th inning when people are actually there, you're fine.
He's a presence, though, man. He's got huge power. But I thought that was interesting that Hunter was like, go get Joey Gallo. So, well, I would say
this is how good Joey is. Joey is so good that the trade has been reported 40 times, and nobody has said once what's going in return. That's how good Joey is.
Oh, that's why he was perfect for the Giants.
I don't know that the Dodgers gave anything up. Right? Just
took the money.
He's been awful. He's been given to the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That happens.
I mean,
is Farhan going to do anything before 3 o'clock?
Of significance?
No.
I would bet no.
Yeah, I saw your tweet last night, and I appreciate you, Willard, because you're not a phony. You keep it real. You love hard. And sometimes I'm like, does he mean that? And you do, because it's authentic.
Which tweet did I say?
About the Giants having money and tapping into their strength, but not using it.
Yeah.
I mean, what positive can a Giant fan get right now? Because I was driving in and I'm thinking to myself, and I mean this, guys, today might be worse than last year when they lost to the Dodgers in that game when it was time to go home, because now it was the Dodgers, but now the Padres, they were cute, had 2 guys. Now they are the Dodgers. So now your division has another Lou Ferrigno. What are you going to do? And the worst part about it, guys, is I don't see anybody coming in, like the farm, maybe 2-3 years away. And when you come, you still got to prove you can ball. It's not an automatic. So when does it get good for the Giants? Because now I'm thinking, you're the Rockies. You're the Diamondbacks. Right. You're not contending with the Dodgers and Padres.
Well, you're trending closer to being like like the A's than you are the Dodgers. And that's the most sickening part of this, because it feels like you're not attracting any free agents and you're not a seller or a buyer. You're just stuck in the middle. The one place you cannot afford to be is in the middle, and you're 13th in attendance. You're 13th or so in payroll. You're 29th in defense. Your ERA is going up and your OPS is going down. You're a mediocre product.
Where are the hitters? My question would be kind of a big beyond this deadline, beyond today. Where are the hitters coming from? Because you're going to draft pitching, you're going to sign pitching. Where are the hitters coming from? Almost by definition, you have to trade for hitters. So disappointing the Giants couldn't get Soto, but I actually think it'll be disappointing if they don't move Rodon, because I fear Rodon getting hurt like he did last year in the second half, and then them being on the hook for 22 mil.
That's why
for a dormant pitcher.
But that's what other teams are saying right now too.
I know. That's why I would move him.
But that lowers your return.
Yeah.
And my whole thing on Rodon is, look, I get it. I see the same thing you all see. This does not appear to be a playoff season, but if you're going to deal Carlos Rodon, it better be for something I can see and feel pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I don't need a huge package of players and pick. I need one solid player that can be up this year or next year and be an everyday guy. If they can get that, I would do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly open to listening for all of the reasons you just stated. But it feels to me like I hear the same fans. The two things we hear is this team is boring. And I don't want to be told to wait. And in the same breath, trade their least boring player for more people I need to wait to see. Well, those two things don't blend.
But your most exciting player is only every fifth day. So at least give me something.
So what?
Well, I mean, okay, wake me when it's his turn again.
But wake you, what are you going to get when he comes back and you get 3 minor leaguers that go to Eugene?
What about
That's
this?
my point. Like, what is it you actually think that you're just so bored that you want this tweet to come out and 5 minutes later, then what?
I agree.
Now Carlos Rodon's not on the team.
I think your tweet, was it last night you said use the money?
That was this morning.
This morning.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's the Giants' strength, is their cash, is their strength.
Yep.
You know who was yanked from his start today? Who's not going to go?
I know.
Who?
Syndergaard?
Oh, no, Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah. Really?
Would you take Bumgarner off and his $45 million off of Arizona's hands if Arizona sweetened it by throwing you some young players? I think I would.
Would Arizona do that in the division? Would Arizona do it?
If they're that willing to get rid of Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, I mean, how much do they need the $45 million or $50 million? The Giants have that money.
Totally.
And Bumgarner, they could probably make it back and just ticket sales off Bumgarner.
Oh yeah, the money's not. Boy,
would you take? I would take Bumgarner, even though he's
got 2 years plus the rest of this year. Is that right?
I think it's roughly 45 or 50 million of commitments. I'd take Bumgarner if I could get like Pavin Smith or that kid McCarthy who's super fast, or some young prospect they have that the Giants really like.
And how many more years
creative
on his deal?
2 in this year, so 2 and change, I believe.
Yeah,
this is a 5-year deal.
Yeah, he's signed through 20. So and by the way, the deal goes down, so it would be 23 million next year, 14 million the year after that.
Right.
And then he's a UF.
And you're right though about the money. You could make that back in Madison Bumgarner bobblehead night.
The money is.
I mean,
I actually think that's inconsequential. Yeah, if you
it's about the young player coming back with him, right?
Mm-hmm. So what are you giving up?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I'd give up much. I mean, give up Sean Jelly and extra outfielder. You don't have to pay a lot. You're taking on the money, and for that, you're getting the prospect. I don't know. I don't know if Arizona wants to make that kind of move. But that's a kind of creative move that you would use what you have as your strength, your cash, and your checkbook.
They should be thinking about your guy, because I was out on your guy when I was dreaming of Soto here in the Bay. That's Aaron Judge. Bumgarner's not good. Do you think they're still in it? The math is there. The 4.5 back. They look dead.
I mean, what does in it mean? I mean, this
beating the Cubs and beating the Diamondbacks, teams that you think you're better than.
It's a big old probably not for this year. Is it is it a flat line? No, it's a big old probably not. I'm kind of with you. Like when you want to talk about the fix for this team, it's not in the next 3 hours.
Right.
It's in December.
Mr. Johnson and Farhan, Aaron Judge is there. I don't know how realistic it is, but that's what you need.
Hey, if Aaron, I don't think they can outbid the Yankees, but you know who actually is?
Why not?
Well, because they're the And I don't think. And if you're Judge,
they got money coming out of their ears.
Yeah, but are you sprinting if you're Aaron Judge away from the bandbox Bronx to hit behind Yaz?
That we don't know.
He grew up a Giants fan.
You're sandwiched between Mercedes.
You never know what makes a guy tick. I've heard that argument. It's been Bonte's argument for 3 weeks now. If you're Aaron Judge, would you join this team? I do not believe that baseball players look at the Giants as if they're the Marlins. That's just factually not true. This is a destination where players like to go and money talks. So could you outbid the Yankees? Yeah. But
you're also, how many years do you think you'd have to go?
I don't know.
8 minimum.
Yeah, 7? So you're talking about, do you want Judge at 36, 37, 38?
I do if he's going to hit 60 home runs for the next 5 years.
Right, this year he's been great.
And put asses in the seats.
And I think that is part of it. I mean, we talked to Ray Ratto earlier about, the ownership change. It's not Larry Baer anymore at the helm. And it's a situation where coming off the pandemic, they lost a bunch of money and those apartments aren't totally built yet. So feels like they're trimming money now to spend money later.
Look, Dibs just got into the housing market, right? So if you're going to go out there on the housing market in the Bay Area, and you're right, I know. All of a sudden, everybody starts. Sorry to make you want to throw up. But if you're going to go out there, and you're going to miss 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Tick tock. We need a house. We got a baby coming. We missed 5 times.
Damn.
We missed 6 times. What are you going to do with the 7th time?
Starting to sweat.
What are you going to do the 7th time?
Overspend.
Thank you.
Wow.
So now I'm not in favor of overspending normally, but if you miss on Bryce Harper and you miss on Stan and you miss on Seiya Suzuki and you miss, at a certain point, I'm sorry, you probably are going to have to spend some bad money. And I know that's just so not their thing.
I don't know that I would do it on Judge, guys. I
thought you were against that, Willard. I appreciate you saying that.
I'd rather spend it on Trey Turner.
Fine, great. Like I am very, very pro spending your money.
Right.
I don't want them to do Angels things. This is the argument that Damon and I kept having. It seems like a lot of you just spend no matter what. Well, no, not if it's going to mean 4th place and 6 bad contracts that you can't get out of for the next 10 years and you're going to stink for a decade. That's terrible. But if you can look at certain players that you really feel will help right now and you might need a little dead money down the road, you can maneuver around that. You're the Giants. The Padres just figured out a way to wiggle out of parts of Eric Hosmer. You can do it
for Josh Bell, man. Batting 300.
Yeah, and they keep adding, and the Dodgers add today, and the Giants now 2 hours and 49 minutes away, and we're talking about bringing back Madison Bumgarner. Whatever happens today before 3 probably won't be that much, but Mark, you're right about between now and next March, it's time to start spending. Even if you have to overspend, you got to do something, Larry.
I'm satisfied with Ford Proctor. I don't know what you guys
think so too. Guy can play 5 positions.
Come on, man. I mean, so Ford Proctor. I mean, come on.
You are 3 smart gentlemen.
2 corporations coming together.
Exactly.
And my life depends on these 3 different answers from you, or the same answers. So you're telling me from 107 to now, 4.5 back. Can Buster Posey suffice being that's the difference and that's why this team?
No, it's the pen.
Give me something else.
The defense, it's the pen, it's a lot of things.
It's totally the bullpen. The bullpen is answer number 1.
And
on
Crawford,
your Family Feud board.
Bell, Longoria.
You win all the 1-run games one year. You lose all the 1-run games the next year. That's your bullpen.
So,
and their ERA is a 1.5 to 2 runs higher than it was last year.
Did you agree with them telling Jake McGee bye-bye? Like, were they in any position to say, maybe you might get your stuff back, but bye-bye? So I'm just asking, you were okay with that?
I mean, again, something going on there that we didn't know about. Just to go from a guy who was your closer to an ERA over 7 who you just let walk out the door, they knew something.
You know, if there was a move that I think they could make between now and the deadline that would really help them, The Royals have that big lefty reliever, Amir Garrett, who throws smoke.
I see.
And he wants to kick
fight too.
Yeah, he wants to kick everybody's ass. But beyond that,
that's fun.
You can get him for nothing. You can probably get him for nothing.
And
that's the kind of move that I'd like to see before 3 o'clock.
I'm in. Oh, well, you will. It'll be 2:59.
You're right.
I mean, he's not going to do anything till 2:59.
Right.
What's Soto do for the Padres? Is it they neck and neck with the Dodgers? Because the Dodgers got better pitching than the Padres. But man, those three together.
Do they?
And Josh Bell.
I mean, do the Dodgers have better pitching than the Padres, especially with Buehler hurt?
Gonsolin.
I mean, Anderson and Gonsolin.
Kershaw, he'll be ready.
I mean, on paper, I know Snell has not been good, but I mean, there's Darvish, there's Musgrove.
Yeah,
they just acquired Josh Hader.
Yeah, they got a loaded pen.
Hey, it's gonna be fun.
It's daunting, brothers.
Padres are going for it, man. Give Preller
like the Rams went for it.
So that's the word. That's the word that kept resonating in my mind earlier this morning. Is I wonder if you got the Giants in a room, and when I say that, right? Like, let's talk to Farhan and Scott Harris, and Greg Johnson, everybody. When is the right time or the right level of aggressiveness? Because aggressiveness will lead to strikeouts, and it will lead to mistakes, and it will lead to misses. But in sports, it always is the right thing to do. When is not being aggressive good? And the Dodgers and Padres are so aggressive in this era.
Preller's never been to the playoffs, and that's the big. So that's a big deal.
They are being driven
yeah.
by desperation, yes, and an obsession with the Dodgers, no doubt. But the Giants are so measured. And so, like,
Farhan's very cautious.
We're not going to make the wrong move. Well, at a certain point, you're not going to make any move.
Oh, man.
They're just trying to make pars. And, the Padres and Dodgers are making birdies and bogeys, and they're going for eagle. And the Giants we're just going to scratch and claw. We're going to try to make the cut, see if we can make some moves on Saturday or Sunday. The Giants, unfortunately, I think are a year away from really being able to be aggressive like this. Because even if they made a move for Soto today, they're still not the best team even in their own division by 3 o'clock.
Padres are going into that golf bag. They're getting all new clubs, and the Giants are getting, new club head covers.
What happened?
Yeah, sorry about that.
The baby's here.
Baby's due in 6 weeks. I got to keep the phone on. Man. There's going to be some occasional call. But when that call comes in, your boy's going to be gone in 60 seconds.
You know what you say when you hear a lullaby? Night, night.
That's a 4.
He brings the passion.
For what? I want to know now. I'm mentally invested. Don't tell me to pray and you don't say what for.
He brings the perspective.
Yeah, I think they both have.
You're doing a great job. And together, they're Steiny and Guru.
Yeah.
On 95.7 The Game.
Breaking news. Juan Soto has a new home, and Larry, it is not here in San Francisco. What's up, Bay Area? Steiny Guru, Larry in for Steiny. It's the trade deadline, and Larry, I've been on Willard's nerves. I do like Willard a lot. I've been on Dibbs's nerves, Steiny's, everybody at the station, because I wanted the Bay Area to get the gift of a 23-year-old stud in D.C. who was on the move, and that's, again, Juan Soto, who is now in the National League West, Larry, but not with the Giants. He's with the Padres. I mean, this is a grand slam for them. Your thoughts on the deal and just the fact that the Giants weren't able to land him?
Well, I mean, the Padres had the prospects, man. You got to give it up to the Padres. They got that kid Hassel, Mackenzie Gore. These guys are premier prospects, and and you know what? They're not. The Padres have produced guys who have come to the big leagues and succeeded. So there's a lot more confidence in their farm system. Preller's never made the playoffs, so he needs to go now.
Yeah.
And they were hyper aggressive. And they did it without taking on Corbin, without taking on Strasburg, without taking on, they didn't really.
I thought they wanted ready-made players. They didn't get too many ready-made major leaguers in this deal.
No.
Got some hot top prospects, but San Diego had the top shortstop prospect. He wasn't going to play because that's on lock with Tatis. But you talk about watering
CJ Abrams,
watering the garden, and I thought that's what the Giants are doing. And I'm not throwing eggs at their farm system, but Larry, I thought those guys were closer than they're at, and that's why I just feel like this is a bad day for the Giants and Giant fans. Like, what positive can Giant fans have right now?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a lesson. One is that even if you have financial might, and the Giants have financial might,
open the wallet.
Prospects are so at a premium in the game right now that, like, Rizzo was like, you know what? I don't care about offloading Strasburg. I don't care about offloading Corbin. I want top tier guys. And so he goes to the Padres and he gets top tier guys. Mackenzie Gore, top lefty. Abrams, a great young shortstop. Robert Hassel, they call him Bobby Barrels.
Okay.
Hassel the third rakes. He was in the Futures game. Big, tall, right-handed or left-handed first baseman or right fielder who's going to hit for a high average. So they got prospects. So, I mean, I think it's a lesson that there is no shortcut around this. The Giants have to start hitting in the amateur draft. They got to build up their farm system so it's deeper so they can swim in these waters. And it's also kind of a statement that, man, the NL West, I mean, the Giants can't beat the
best.
The Giants can't beat the Diamondbacks to save their life. And now you got the Dodgers and the Padres, maybe two of the most talented organizations in all of baseball residing in your division. It's a rough day for Giants fans.
It is
a lot of depressed Giants fans.
And I want you to grade what I'm about to say here because I want to hear from the fans too. I mean, how disappointed are Giant fans? What did you think of the non-deal? 888-957-9570. What if I told you Larry Krueger right now? I feel like today, and I just said it to you guys, is worse than when they lost last year to the Dodgers here on 3rd and King. Just the fact now you got another monster. Tatis and Machado, it was cute, but they weren't really the threat that the Dodgers were, I believe. Now you put Soto along with, don't sleep on Josh Bell, former Pirate prospect, switch hitter hitting 300 in today's game. That's like 400. But now they're another monster. What does that do for the Giants? And if you're Farhan or Mr. Johnson, what are you doing? Counting that money that you supposedly have? And that's why, realistically, Larry, I'm not one of these nerds. I'm not a GM wannabe. I just know if Aaron Judge is available and I'm in the National League West and I'm a storied franchise like the Giants, I'm going to ask the girl, do you want to dance? And all she can say is no, but I'm going to have my best dancing shoes on. And that's what I want the Giants to do because guess what? They don't got prospects littered all in the farm like I was told to believe. And that's what's disheartening.
I don't think Aaron Judge is the answer, to be honest. One, I don't think they can get him. Two, I don't think he's the answer. I mean, he's been hurt a lot. He's coming off a career year.
What's the question, Larry?
I mean, how do you compete for a World Series in this division? I think is the question. How do you compete? And I think you have to do everything. You have to spend your money in free agency. You have to use your money to get advantageous trades.
I ain't mad at you.
And I mean, look at Mookie Betts. The Dodgers basically made a very advantageous trade to get him from Boston. Why? Because the Dodgers were willing to pay the freight on Mookie Betts. So that was they used their financial might to acquire a player in Betts for a very reasonable cost. I mean, I think the Giants got to start doing creative moves like that. They got to start hitting in the amateur draft. And then overall, I mean, you know, they got to give themselves an identity, and they're a team right now that doesn't have an identity.
But they're the San Francisco Giants, the Gigantes.
They've always had my entire life. They've always had a draw.
Man,
they had McCovey.
Go ahead.
They had Jack Clark. They had Will Clark. They've had Madison Bumgarner, Buster Posey, Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams. They've had, going from like the mid 70s to today, they've always had a guy that you would say, yeah, well, the club's this good or that good, but I'm going to go see McCovey. I'm going to go see Clark. I'm going to go see Boogie Bear, Kevin Mitchell. I'm going to go see Tim Lincecum. Who do you have right now? If you're saying, let's say the Giants fall out of it. Some would argue they're already out of it. But let's just say the next week makes them go 10.5 back in the wild card, they're playing 2 months of baseball for nothing. Who's getting you to go to the yard? Who's making you get out of your home in the burbs, crossing the bridge, paying the toll, buying the tickets, buying the food, doing the whole deal?
It's real.
$1,000, let's say, on a night for your family at the yard. What player do they have that makes you go, yeah, they're out of it and it's not their year, but you know what? Let's go see this guy. They don't have that guy. And you got the Warriors down the street. You got Trey Lance era beginning in Santa Clara.
And they just went to the NFC Championship game.
And the division's left them in the dust. So I think they're absolutely at a crossroads right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. And we'll be joined by Bobby Evans. I think this is the best day to have him on and just ask him about his former team and what he's seeing, and Larry, what he's not seeing. But you are right. It's like, again, I just go back to, I'm not playing fantasy GM and I know it all, but I'm a guy that I want to go all in, push my chips in the table like the Rams did. I'm not with this, let's keep building for tomorrow, hit the reset button, but you never win. You never come up daisy. So I just don't understand how close. Do you think they were even in the Soto stakes? Like a couple weeks ago, we heard the Giants are one of 7 teams, and we'll probably never get this information. It's like Debo, what ticked them off? We'll never probably get that. But how close do you think the Giants may have been?
I think they were seriously pursuing Soto because I think Farhan's very cautious, and yet if he had landed Soto as his signature move, there's no way to rip that. There's no downside to that. You're going to get 3 years of one of the best young hitters in the game. So, yeah, I think the Giants made a huge effort to get Soto. Maybe I'm wrong, but that would be my guess. But now the question is, what's next? What do you do? And I agree with Willard wholeheartedly. What do the Giants have? They don't want to. They don't really have anything on the major league roster outside of Rodon that anybody wants. So that's one. And they don't have prospects ready to impact this thing at double or triple A. That's 2. So what do they have? They got the Mission Rock project. They got a ballpark they own. They've got owners that are filthy rich. They're well positioned financially. Use some of that financial might in a creative way to draw some of the things you don't have, which are young hitters, young pitchers, impact guys. If they could move Rodon before 3:00 and get even one useful everyday piece that they could promote this year or next year, and that could be like their everyday guy who hits 3, 4, 5 in their lineup for the next 5 to 7 years, I'd do it. I absolutely would do it.
Yeah. Give me what I want. Yeah, and I'm not mad at you. And you brought up Mad Bum, but I'm wondering,
because I just think that would be popular locally, and also Arizona is poor, so Arizona is leveraged financially. You could probably get a good player or two out of their system by taking on that $45 million, and that's what the Giants have that other teams don't have. They got $45 million laying around. They don't have a good young prospect that's ready to jump into their roster. They need that. So maybe you could take on Bum. It would be popular to bring him back. The money you can afford, and maybe if they attached a young player or two. I'm just trying to think outside the box. What can they do to use their financial advantage to try to get some young players?
Yeah, but I'll say this to that, and I'm not saying you're not wrong, but Juan Soto was he was the big piece, right?
Yeah.
So you watch him go to your division, and now watch with the Padres. They're on steroids now offensively, and you bring Mad Bum back. I don't know if it would be as popular as you say. It would be something, but that to me is not the ingredient this team is missing. And you talked about it. When I talk about an everyday player, and I know how important pitching is, but to me, you gravitate to that everyday player like you just went down that list. That's what they need. And you got a guy that made the All-Star team, and I ain't even mad at Jock. He is who he is. But all this damn platooning, it's just, I saw Bell get 3 hits on about a couple weeks ago, and his 4th at bat, he's going back to the dugout because he's getting yanked. Like, Larry, in a crazy way, I think whatever you want to, deem that as analytics or the computer, like, give me more Bruce Bochy and Jim Leland. And maybe that stops at Kapler, or he doesn't even have that control because it's coming from up top. But I just feel like they're more robotic, the Giants are, than feel. And I feel like we're watching that play out.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, Farhan handpicked Gabe Kapler because he wanted to make sure that his analytics saw the field. If you have Boch there, you can suggest to Boch, hey, we think you ought to try this, we think you ought to try that, but he's too independent. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to go by the gut. Gabe is sitting there because he's willing to do exactly what Farhan wants him to do. They're going to do their analytics in the office. He's going to bring it out onto the field, and it's not like once a week or twice a week or 3 times a game. He's going to do it exactly every day the way Farhan wants it. But yeah, I think they've overplayed their lefty-righty matchup advantage. I think they're just doing it, ad infinitum. I mean, it's just like there is no end to like this lefty-righty games that they play, and I think the players see that, and I think I personally think that the players are tuning out Gabe. I have no sources on that,
right? But it's a gut feeling. We'll get into that. We'll pay some bills. Larry Krueger, Daryle the Guru Johnson, right here, holding it down till 3:00. If you're looking for all the latest 49er content from 95.7 The Game, text 49ers to 20357. That's 49ers to 20357. Make sure to click the link, then hit the subscribe button in the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast, powered by DuckDuckGo, privacy simplified.
Garlic fries and baseball guys. Twice a week, Mark Willard and Joe Shasky talk. Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
No Steiny, Larry Krueger in, as Steiny is on vacation, muchly deserved. And we are talking trade deadline. And Larry, I don't got a carton of eggs over here. I've been disappointed, and it's bigger than just 107. But we want to hear from the fans. How disappointed are you that Juan Soto is now in your division, but not on your team? 888-957-9570. Also, you know how to reach us on Twitch and YouTube. And Larry, we were just talking before the break about Gabe Kapler. And I know it didn't work for Gabe in Philly. And I believe in Philly, I don't have sources, Larry, shocker, but this is just my gut.
Right.
Actually lost 3 pounds, Larry, so it ain't as big as it was. But I say that to say,
hell yeah,
they didn't have the analytical thing that he's working under here. And like you said, maybe this is why he has a job, is Farhan needed that guy. But I felt like he had to tap into Gabe in Philly, his inner Bruce Bochy and Jim Leland, and it didn't work out for him, and he was relieved of his duties. So I don't want to say this season is all about Gabe Kapler. That wouldn't be fair, because you still have the residue of being the captain of the ship when you won 107. But Saturday, in my living room, watching my Samsung, seeing him sit next to Bruce Bochy and not really mingle. And I know people can say, "Oh, Goo, you sound silly. What are you talking about?" But when you got a steward like Bruce Bochy, I know real men. I know leaders. I can tell. And I know it was about Will Clark and who was at the podium or the mic at that juncture, but I felt Gabe was like he was a mummy. There was no picking the skip's brain. And Larry, I guess I got my eraser out on my number 2 pencil, like, come on, lighten up, be one of the guys. Because for the first time, I felt like I was getting some insight to he's stiff. And if he's that way, a non-game situation, what's he like to the guys? Is he sending the message, we can't keep kicking the ball around? Analytics ain't going to give you that. And that's been an ongoing issue, the defense. Like, flip the spread over, as I talked about yesterday. Do something.
He's very measured. He's very under control. I don't know. I mean, to me, I just get the same vibe you get, that, he's just not a dude. He's like, he's smart. He's capable, but like, do you want to hang with him? I don't get there's a weird vibe around the Giants this year, beyond the defensive struggles, the bullpen struggles, the offenses. Beyond that, have you ever caught any of the media questions post game of Gabe?
I look forward.
Everybody sounds like they're just tiptoeing around him. Like any wrong word that was chosen would cause some kind of outburst, or like he's gonna bite their head off.
Wow.
I mean, everybody's very, very picking their words. You took this guy out in the 6th. Were you thinking, it's like, just ask the question. But I think that's a culture.
I don't like that.
I think that's him. I think that's on him. I think that's the vibe that he puts out. Like, hey man, I'm going to bite your head off if you ask the wrong question, or I don't know.
But you're really not that dude.
Yeah. I just don't think first of all, I don't think it's all on him this year.
And
the ownership didn't spend enough money. Farhan, I thought, left this team incredibly short. It was illogical to think that Belt and Crawford and Longoria and all their older players who had career years last year, you were going to run it back with all of them, minus Posey, minus Bryant, minus Solano, and you were going to compete. I mean, the Giants, they lost maybe three of their best right-handed bats. They replaced it with nothing. So it's not surprising that they're kind of on the outside looking in. But what's depressing,
I hate that word, speak.
And what's really depressing is that they have nothing coming as far as there's not. I mean, are they going to force the kid from De La Salle, Harrison, who just got promoted up a level from A-ball to double A? They're going to force him to be like the savior of the team. Luciano, 2 years away. Matos is hitting like 210. Hunter Bishop isn't hitting. Their prospects that were supposedly on the quote unquote fast track are not only not on the fast track, they're 2-3 years away.
Oh man.
So you're looking at LA and San Diego bolstering their roster at the major league level while they have deeper, better farm systems. And you're looking at the Giants as one of the oldest teams in baseball. It's an old, eroding product, and their farm system is not ready. So that's on Farhan partially because he's been here for 4 years.
And Mr. Johnson and Farhan, now that it's going back to what Willard talked about, you and him, they have money. Use it. Spend it. Take a chance. But see, nobody
cares about money anymore because it's all about prospects. Prospects are gold in baseball. If you have prospects, you're rich. If you don't have prospects, you're poor. The Giants have money, but nobody wants to give them good prospects to take bad contracts, even if the Giants were willing to do it.
Wow. And
that's how people value prospects in the game right now.
And I brought up Gabe. And I get that, Larry. I brought up Gabe, and talking to you yesterday off the air, you reminded me about Miss Crawford, Brandon Crawford's wife. What was the tweet she sent out?
Well, she just put like
because I found this interesting.
She put the eyes out there and was like, "Do we ever bunt?" That was when they lost to the Padres in extra innings, and the Padres, the Giants didn't. They got a runner on second to start the 10th. They left him there. The Padres got a runner on second. They moved him to third, scored, game over. She's like, "Are we ever going to bunt? Are we ever going to play any situational baseball?"
But that's at the manager.
And obviously, that's coming from
that's a
Brandon.
Shot. No doubt.
Yeah, obviously.
So,
and that's a shot at the manager. It absolutely is.
That I couldn't believe I missed that. But when I hear that, I'm like, there's no doubt, who that was geared towards. So we'll see how this plays out. But again, you are out on Juan Soto because I'm looking past this year, the 4.5 back. Larry, there's more than enough games to make up that ground. But you got 3 left with the Dodgers, if I'm correct. They could put you in your coffin essentially. But looking past this season, you don't think Judge solves the problem? Is it the age? What is it about Judge? Do you think you know what? I'm out, or are you like Bonte, who says other stars are looking at this team? Because I don't know where I'm at with this. San Francisco's not a destination. This is the Giants, and if you're badass, you come, and then we'll make it happen. Starting with you, I don't think. You tell me if I'm wrong. The stars are looking at locales like who's there, LeBron, not 6, not 5, not 4. Like, I don't think it's that. Juan Soto, I think he would have wanted to come here and hit the balls in China Basin if the money was right.
I mean, they're totally different guys because Soto is 23. Even if you got him and signed him to a 10-year deal, you're getting his entire 20s and early 30s. So you're getting a very solid player. Judge is in his walk year. He's having a career year in his walk year. He's had injuries. He's 30. He's probably going to demand a 7-8 year deal at monster dollars. The Giants have shown no propensity or desire to throw, to overpay. They would rather read the market, sit back, and wait till the middle of March and underpay for Rodon, underpay for Jock Peterson. We've got no indications that they want to set the market. And now you're going to outbid the big bad New York Yankees for their biggest star coming off his career year when he knows that he's going to be protected better in their lineup. Yeah. He's going to hit more home runs in their lineup. He's got a better chance of reaching the Hall of Fame in their lineup. I mean, it's crazy. It's stupid talk to even talk about Judge because there's like 19 reasons he wouldn't come here and like 2 that he would.
And I'll say this, I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick and tired. I'm not a hater. I told you that yesterday, but I'm getting sick and tired. You talked about baseball, no salary cap. If the deadline is the haves and the have-nots, it's the same damn teams. It's the Yankees. We didn't even talk about the couple moves they made, but we just take it for granted. Now the Padres jumped in, but those are players. How do to me, the Giants, just name recognition, they're part of that. But how do you – I'm getting tired, and St. Louis was mentioned for Soto, and I know they got some prospects, a nice farm system, but do you get tired that the same teams are the ones always shopping at Nordstrom's when it's the deadline? Like, that's getting old to me.
Yeah, I mean, I read it today that if the Giants sold, there would be like 7 teams for 6 spots in the National League, basically. So look at all those – the rest of the teams in the National League are just done for the year with 2 months left to play
with 3 extra. Wow.
So, man. I mean, think about that. And that's a lot of meaningless baseball being played in the National League. So I think baseball's kind of got a bigger problem, which is why they added that 3rd wild card, because they know, there's half the league is like basically non-factors in the final 2 months of the year. And if you're a non-factor, why are people buying tickets? So they're trying to add playoff teams to make the regular season more relevant.
Yeah.
What baseball's got right now is they've got an equation where the playoffs are going to be awesome because it's going to be, clash of titans.
Oh, we got 2 in the West.
But if you're not a playoff team, it's time to turn on the Niners. Wow. It's time to turn on the NFL. It's time to flip the page on baseball.
And they're third here and now. Easy.
And some people just flip the page from NBA playoffs to turn on baseball. So this is your season from the end of June till the middle, till the trade deadline, and that's it. Because if you're not you're not one of the haves, you're done. What exactly is what would draw you to the Giants right now? Unless they won like 10 of the next 11.
Well, they won 107 like they did last year, Larry, because it was on and popping last year.
It was. But last year, as time goes on, looks like the biggest lucky
fluke.
Yeah, okay. Smoke and mirrors of all time.
Nobody, I ain't mad at nobody, but it all went your way.
It went perfect. Everything went right. And now there's been this regression to the mean this year. And look what they are.
Yeah. Let's go out to South City and welcome Austin to the program. He's confused by the Giants. What's up, Austin?
How's it going, guys? I mean, I think this is the first, I moved to San Francisco in 2017, so I watched them through some pretty bad years. And I think last year was probably the worst thing that could have happened to this fan base. Maybe not so much the team. It just set undue expectations. This was a team after 2018 that blew everything up and was not a good team. They had high budget players who were old. They needed to rebuild a farm system. They haven't fully done that, which is why they can't get guys like Juan Soto. And yet you see guys on Twitter, like the smash mouth of the world going, how come the Giants aren't getting Juan Soto? How come nobody wants to play here? Why is it 4-run swinging for big players like Nick Castellanos? Well, first off, because they don't have the pieces to do it. They haven't. They need to keep building. And it's a fair criticism that their drafts haven't gone as well as expected, specifically that 2019 draft where they had a lot of early picks. But I don't understand Giants fans right now who are so upset about this season. Like last year was a complete fluke. There was a decent team. This team is a slightly worse version of it. Just let the team continue to build, and eventually you'll be able to compete with a team like the Dodgers that has done exactly that and built, a homegrown team. Most of that Dodgers team was drafted for amateur free agents.
So let me just ask you this, Larry, you tell me what you think. After 107 last year, Austin, you had no expectations going into this season? Like you're okay with where it's at now?
You lost arguably he was 20th in WAR last year in Buster Posey, and you're replacing him with Joey Bart, who struck out once every 4 at-bats in AAA. It's a big loss, not to mention what Posey did for that pitching staff and probably that bullpen. That's a huge leadership piece, and there was no clear replacement there. So, yeah, that's a big expectation. Brandon Crawford, there's no way Brandon Crawford is the 6th best player in baseball, which he was last year, based off of, WAR and how great he was defensively. There's no way he was going to replicate that. And there were no pieces that the Giants could go get that would accurately replace what they could do. So, yeah, it's everything hit right, and they caught lightning in a bottle. And even with that, the Dodgers were a 106-win team and had depth to where they could continue to get better. And
Larry, we got breaking news.
Yeah. Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Breaking news on 95.7 The Game is brought to you by Beat the Street. Tips to win a $5.6 million prize. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, my God.
Larry, you tell me what you think. The Mets are acquiring Darren Ruff from the San Francisco Giants for J.D. Davis and prospects per Joel Sherman. Your initial thoughts? J.D. Davis and prospects.
Well, it depends what the prospects are. J.D. Davis is a decent return, but
that's a great word.
The prospects are the key there. Ruff makes sense. Ruff is a guy who's swinging the bat really, really well. If you need a hitter against quality left-handed pitching off the bench, they're gonna use him off the bench.
Can play outfield, infield.
He can DH. He can play left. He can play right. He can play first, and he can hit good left-handed pitching off the bench. Unfortunately for the Giants asked him to do way too much. Last year they used him for the whole year. It was like 200 at bats. This year he had 200 at bats at the break. Yeah. So they asked Ruff to kind of be an everyday guy, and it just didn't happen. But it kind of shows that the Giants are in a sell mode. Now, who else is going to be sold? Will Wilmer Flores be gone? Will Brandon Belt be gone? Will Rodon be gone? The Giants are 3-9 since the break. So the clubhouse has spoken to the front office through the way they've played, and they said, hey, no mas, like Roberto Duran.
Yeah, I remember.
No more. So you know what?
And they had cupcakes to start this Arizona. You talk about the Cubs.
Against teams they should have owned. They went 3-9.
Yeah.
They're thoroughly outclassed. The teams in front of them in the wild card race are better with an easier schedule. So, I mean, let's be real about this. And as far as the caller, I think the frustration with the fans comes down to where is this creativity that we were sold from Farhan Zaidi?
Go ahead.
Where's the creativity? Where's the creative moves to make the Giants competitive?
Chris Bryant's been the best move. You guys could say, oh, it was just a rental. I couldn't believe he did it. To me, that was him splurging, but it was perfect at the time. And it allowed them, I believe, to go try to take down the Dodgers, Larry, and they almost did. But damn, this is worse than Cinderella returning the slippers. This is like you were 107, and now, I mean, it looks bad. The future looks bleak.
Well, it's a combination of if right now we were staring at a Giant team that had Joey Bart producing and Elliot Ramos producing and Marco Luciano kicking butt in AAA
right.
and Luis Matos ripping it in AA, it would be a different vibe. It would be like, hey, you know what? They're not quite there, but look what they've got coming.
Yeah.
But then you look around and you see Bart's hitting under 200.
Oh, man.
And Luciano looks like 2 years away. And Matos may never make it. And Elliot Ramos has not been promoted at all. And they show no confidence in him. And it looks like the prospects are really far away. So I would just like to see a little bit more creativity. Where's that 3-team deal? Where's that deal where you're using your money advantage to acquire young players? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the creativity that I was sold that was coming with Farhan Zaidi. That would be my biggest concern. I knew they would regress from 107. You knew it. Everybody knew it. But it's not about the major league level. It's the lack of growth in their minor league program.
And there you go. And that's what has a lot of people scratching their head because you talk about it. I'll never forget last week. You're like, how many years are we going to give Farhan?
He's been here 4. Does he get 8?
Yeah.
Does he get 10? I mean, I
was drinking the Kool-Aid that the farm system, the roses were ready to bloom. Like, okay, these guys are close.
And I like Farhan. He's glib. He's fun. I'd rather sit there and talk to him about his fantasy team too. But at some point, this is his show. And it's time for him to kind of either, it's put up or shut up time, right? It's either.
You think he's feeling pressure right now, Larry?
I think he is. I think he should be because he's been on the job 4 years. And does he have a signature move? We know he has a signature season. This last season was clearly the signature season. And everybody thinks he's smart. So it's not about, does he lack the wherewithal?
Right,
he can do it. It's just a matter of, can you handicap the amateur draft? Can you make a trade or two that brings in a foundation piece player? I'd like to see move Jock Peterson. Like, I'll give you an example. Dodgers won the World Series with Peterson. He went to Atlanta last year. They won the World Series. He's clearly a piece that the Dodgers would love to have back. Make a deal with the Dodgers and get one of their top prospects or two. Get that kid Outman, who's from Redwood City, went to Sac State. Go get Trace Thompson. Go get a Miguel Vargas. Go get somebody out of LA's system. Give them Peterson and grow your team. I want to see the Giants develop their 25-man so that there's in sports you sell hope. Right now, if you're selling hope for the Giants with their farm system kind of quiet, what are you selling? It's not really an attractive sale.
And I'll tell you what, the Giants with this trade for J.D. Davis, for Darren Ruff and prospects. I'm eager to see the prospects. And again, I don't expect to.
It's J.D. Davis and the prospects coming to the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at J.D. Davis's stats right now, Larry. Batting .238 in today's baseball. That's not as bad as it used to be. 4 home runs, 66 strikeouts. So right there, 21 RBIs. Ruff, he could hit it out the park at any time. And I'm just thinking again.
And he's getting hot now.
And that's the worst part. But I'm thinking about last year, Larry, everything they touched turned to gold. Look at Lamont Wade Jr.
Right?
I mean, this has been awful. You just talk about health. Everything went their way. And I wonder if they're just paying the piper for basically pitching a perfect game in a season for them to even win 107 and not even just go to the playoffs. And they didn't get swept. I could make an argument they should have beat the Dodgers. So who knows?
Last year was miraculous. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you really go back and look at last year, you go, what? What? I couldn't believe it when we were watching it. I'm like, when are they going to fade? When are they going to fade? When are they going to fade?
Everybody.
And they just didn't fade. And LA ran with them in the second half. They outran them. And when it was a tremendous regular season, but unfortunately, it did two things. It increased their expectations from the fans and made them kind of, stick with the program. I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, when they had Bumgarner and Will Smith, and they're coming down to the deadline, they probably should have traded those guys for top tier guys. Instead,
they were in the moment, though.
I know,
Larry.
they were in the moment.
It was a party.
So they kept Bumgarner. Then they let Bumgarner go. They got a draft pick in return. They turned that draft pick into a guy named Jimmy Glowinky, who's just a guy in their farm system, right? They should have turned that into two guys that would be up here in 2021 doing big things for them. Instead, they said, you know what? We got to go for it. We got to send messages to the fans and to the clubhouse. They went for it. They wound up getting Jimmy Glowinky. What's Jimmy Glowinky?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's a non-factor. And so they missed that opportunity. And if you're not going to spend with LA, if you're not going to spend with San Diego, and they're not, you got to be sharper than them. You got to be more, you got to make sharper moves. You got to make smarter moves. You got to be resourceful. You can't necessarily go the conservative route. And I think they've been somewhat conservative, and they're spending less, and this is what you get.
Yeah, we got Bobby Evans coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. I got the names for you for those prospects. Bear with me, Larry. Right-handed pitcher Thomas Zapucki. He was the number 16 prospect for the Mets. Left-handed pitcher Nick Zwack. He was the number 17th prospect, and right-hand pitcher Carson Seymour, all going to the Giants, and that's via Joel Sherman. So, I mean,
so they got three arms. They got three young arms and a replacement on the major league level for Ruff.
I don't like the 16, 17 type.
I mean, it's probably a good deal, right? I mean, I don't know anything about those pitchers.
So you're done with this year for the Giants? Because technically I'm not, Larry. I mean, I ain't bashing. I'm just giving you the truth of how I feel. But I look at 4.5, and there's a lot of baseball left. Football will be playing while the Giants still are playing games. The Niners will be in week 2. You got time, but is that life preserver there? Like, who's going to light that fire? I mean, Crawford's out.
Yeah.
Belt's out. What's up with those two?
Well, I mean, they're 35.
Then they're
that's the thing. And they're not on PEDs.
Yeah.
Wow. When you're 35, you're not on PEDs. In baseball, you get worse. So, I mean, that was to be expected. As far as am I done on the Giants this year?
4.5 still. I just keep looking at it.
They're done. So it's like 3-9 since the break says they're done. So I'm not done. I'll watch all the games.
Okay.
But if you said to me, you can bet every penny that you have to your name on them missing the playoffs or making the playoffs.
Gotcha.
Oh my God. I don't even have to think about it. I'm betting it all on them missing the playoffs, despite the fact there's an extra spot.
No doubt. And I almost feel like I did last year, Larry, when the Niners lost to Arizona's JV team. Then they lost in the monsoon at home Sunday night to the Colts. I'm like, oh, this is bad. And they rally from that team-wide and get to the NFC Championship game. But this is much different. I'm worried. And like I said, they could lose the rest of the games easily to the Dodgers. They could win them. But it's like, when do you look yourself in the mirror and take that stand? Like, you know what? And maybe I'm living in the Disney Channel or Roy Hobbs, but I'm one of those. I'm a romantic. I'm a sports romantic. Like, that's why I want Gabe. You're the manager. If you were to come out of character and just say how disgruntled and disappointed you are, maybe you'll get somebody's attention. But that the Crawford, his wife tweeting we should bunt, that's deeper than, you know what, this dude gets on my nerves. That's like, I can't be real with him, so I'll tell my wife, but she'll go to Twitter. That lets me know that there's whispers. Like, there could be doubt amongst the players.
Well, I mean, that to me, the bigger issue with Kapler are some of these pinch hitting things. You're gonna play Austin Wynns because he's right-handed, and you're gonna sit Yaz and Peterson and Belt, 3 of your leaders, just because you're playing lefty-righty games. And you're going to put a minor league bat and Austin Wynns in there.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff day after day that just gets old.
We're going to pay the bills. And when we get back, Larry, we got Bobby Evans. When you're happy and you know it in San Diego, there's no limit to how you can show it. Endless sunshine, coastline, and outdoor adventures inspire waves of feel-good vibes. Plan your trip today at sandiego.org. Coming up next, former San Francisco Giant GM Bobby Evans joins us.
Steiny and Guru continues on 95.7 The Game.
Larry Krueger and Daryle the Guru Johnson holding it down until 3 p.m. And this is my favorite part of the show, Larry. We got the great Bobby Evans, former GM of the San Francisco Giants. How you doing, Bobby?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Best day of the year.
Yes, it is, especially if you're a Padre fan, because a lot of myself personally and a lot of Giant fans, Bobby, wanted to see the Giants get Juan Soto, and unfortunately, he's in San Diego. Your initial thoughts, did you actually think the Giants had a chance to pull this off and get Soto in a Giant uniform?
I mean, you don't put anything past the process to, possibly, what club's looking for and maybe, leak in there somehow, sneak in there. But, the favored clubs were pretty public early on. And, when I heard Southern California, that was the first thing I heard about Soto, that he was headed to Southern California. So I waited for the punchline, and they said San Diego. So I have to admit there was a little bit of relief that it wasn't the Dodgers, but very, very much disappointed that, it's just a kind of elite talent. It's just very hard to get. There's a competition level that, any club out there would have dreamed of being able to bring him aboard, but there's not that many easy paths to that, and Padres with their depth, pulled it off to their credit.
Bob, good to talk to you again. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Things going good?
Oh yeah, doing fine. It's a beautiful day in the Bay, and very interesting to watch this trade deadline unfold, albeit in August instead of July.
Yeah, exactly. What would you do if you were? I mean, we're not trying to second guess Farhan, but you've been in this spot, and you know where the Giants are. You know the whole history of the thing. They won 107 last year. They've had kind of a regression to the mean this year. They're in the wild card race, kind of nominally, right? Because they added an extra team and they're 4.5 back. If you were sitting there with the exact same hand of cards that Farhan has right now, would you be a seller? Would you be looking to buy? The attendance is down. Is that a factor? How would you look at the Giants' options right here at the deadline?
Well, we've been in these situations. I mean, you have to listen and try to get the appropriate value for your guys. You also need to be in the market to see if you can find ways to improve your club. I mean, with the wild card now, there's 12 teams that are going to make the playoffs. To be one of them, gives you a shot. And you look at starting pitching as a strength of the club, at least, the top 3 guys. You feel like you can win a short series. Best of 7 may be a little tougher, but you want to give yourself a chance. But you got to be realistic too, and so you're always balancing. Let the offers dictate what you do. Are the offers good enough to justify moving a guy? Are the asks reasonable enough to add a guy? It's hard to give up on a pennant race at this point in the year for the Giants. It's never been easy. I appreciate ownership. Gives the front office, even in the history of it, always discretion. But it's a hard call because we know how hard it is to be in the race, much less how tough it is when you're out of it. So when you're still in the hunt, you have to be very calculated here and look at the relative options in terms of adding and subtracting and go with what's the most compelling.
You're listening to Larry Krueger and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. We have the pleasure to be joined by Bobby Evans, former Giant GM. Larry and I were talking, Bobby, about Saturday, kind of hit me in the cardiac muscle. Obviously, the Will Clark retirement ceremony, seeing all the greats there at the Yard. And, I can go down and Buster Posey, to Bonds, to McCovey and Clark. The Giants have always had that guy. And right now, Bobby, I don't see that player, and attendance is down. And I know it could be a few different reasons, but how important is it for business for the Giants, especially in that division with the Padres and the Dodgers, to get that new guy that fans can come see?
Well, we got to build around, key leadership and key players in the lineup and the rotation, and that's how we've always been successful, is a little bit of both. And yeah, I mean, without it, it's a matter of time. The Giants fans will see that guy in that lineup and in that rotation in time. Just right now, it's not where we're at, and that's hard to swallow, especially hard when you see guys going to your rivals. But it just takes one big deal, whether it be a trade or a free agent acquisition, and it can turn the tables. I mean, obviously the Giants, when this ownership took over, they realized we needed a key figure, and Barry Bonds was added. I mean, we saw that, come more organically with the Giants, with addition of Kane and Lincecum and Bumgarner and Posey and Belt and Crawford and guys like that over time. Sometimes it doesn't happen, quickly. It just takes one guy at a time, but it starts with one. And, for us at 90, 93, of course, that was Bonds, in 85, 86, that was Will Clark. I mean, who will be that guy? I think it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's just when.
Bob, take us behind the scenes, because there's a report this morning out that the Giants are listening on Carlos Rodon, that they've set a high price for him, but they're going to see if anybody meets their ask, between now and 3:00. What was today like when you were either the assistant GM to Brian, or when you were the GM? Did you have, like you said, you're waiting for a prospect here or there, a good offer? Do you have your farm director, who's maybe a little bit more up to speed on every organization's prospects, sitting right there in your office on a day like today? Do you got him sitting on a conference call? How do you kind of go through and quickly be able to discern, what they're offering this player, and this player is actually going to make us motivated to pull the trigger on the deal?
Yeah, you've got your international scouting director on call. You've got your farm director on call. You've got your pro scouting director in the room. You've got your Dick Tidrow in the room. You've got your key analytics staff in the room, and you're punching numbers and guys one after the other. You've got every scenario running through your brain nonstop. You know what the status is of each deal. You know who hasn't gotten back to you. You know who you've got to get back to. You know who's waiting on one more phone call, and you're lining them up. I mean, you can get a number of deals, 3, 4, 5 deals, down to the 10 or 15 yard line, and then you figure out which one you can take through the end zone, and then sometimes you end up deciding, we're going to punt on all 5, or you might try to execute 2 and get 1 done. I mean, it really depends, but you have to watch in real time what's happening on those deals in other fronts. You're not the only club they're talking to, and they're not the only club you're talking to. You've got multiple balls in the air, and you're trying to navigate which one's going to be the best fit, and sometimes the time runs out on one, so you've got to execute on your number 2 choice or number 3 choice.
Bobby Evans right here on 95.7 The Game, former GM of the San Francisco Giants. Bobby, I need you to help me out. I'm a 70s baby, so I remember baseball when there was no analytics to the point to the degree it's at now. And I saw Bruce Bochy at the Yard, and he managed to me, Bobby, with his gut. And all of a sudden with this Giant team, and this is no shade, I'm seeing guys that get 3 hits and then they go up for their 4th at bat. Guess what? They're pinch hit because the spreadsheet said so. When you watch baseball and this Giant team, isn't there a balance, or do you think there's too much analytics to where the manager's not going with this gut feel?
Well, I lived in the world of balance. I mean, we gave lineup guidance to Boach, but it was his call. I mean, ultimately, he had to go with his intellect and his experience and his understanding of what lineup on a given day looks best, against whoever we're playing. And so, giving guidance, giving information, there's always a balance from my standpoint. I think that what's happened though, there's such a leniency on the percentages that, they've panned out in such a way. I mean, even now with the Giants, they panned out to a degree of 107 wins last year. It's hard to just turn your back on them. So, I think that every manager has his comfort level, and I'm sure that Farhan has worked with Gabe to make sure their comfort level is where it should be. And, but ultimately we'll see the game, go far one end or another, but, invariably we see things come back to more of a middle ground. I mean, if the shift goes away, that's going to totally alter some of these numbers. The approach of the pitching staff with the strikeouts these days, the hitters going for the home run, one of those changes and the other will have to change. And there's always alterations and adjustments. And, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny the fact that the clubs more often than not are going with the percentages because it's worked for them.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time of year because, the Astros the Red Sox wanted Larry Anderson one year, and the Astros said, well, we'll take that Jeff Bagwell character, and that didn't work out. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you guys, picked up a McCutchen and you moved Brian Reynolds, and obviously in hindsight, that deal looks really good for the Pirates. But I wanted to ask you, because the Giants system better than Guru and I do, and better than probably almost all the people listening. Is there a guy in their system right now that if Farhan called you and you were working for him, that you would say, man, do not move this guy, because 5 years from now, this guy's going to be Brian Reynolds. 5 years from this, today he's going to be an all-star. Is there who's your favorite prospect, I guess, in the Giants system that to this day you have great conviction in?
Well, I mean, nobody's more exciting to me than Luciano. I mean, Matos is exciting as well. There's others. I mean, Harrison. I mean, anybody that gets drafted where he does and accelerates from the left side so quickly, and knowing Bannister's involvement with anybody on the pitching side would make me scared to get rid of anybody that Bannister believes in at this point. So I think there's some good guys in the fold, but probably Luciano for me is the top guy. But even in the case of trading a Reynolds, you're making a sacrifice on terms of what you can get today for what you're going to give up tomorrow. And this is a kid from Vanderbilt with a number 2 pick in our draft, and highly sought after. Many calls after we acquired him on accolades of getting him at all. So when you make a decision like that, you've got a chance to get bitten, and that's what some of these clubs are dealing with today. They don't want to get bitten, and that sometimes the information share is so consistent across all boards that a lot of clubs get frozen and ultimately don't take any chances.
Bobby, we'll get you out of here on this one. We appreciate your time. We know you're busy. So the Giants missed out on Soto if they were interested. And I know the Giants are 4.5 games out of the wild card. You got about 50-something games left. But take us behind the scenes. If Farhan and company see, you know what, Aaron Judge is available, we would love to have him as a Giant. And I know tampering, and they can't come out and say it, but when does the team and the courtship process start to get things ready to make a play for a guy like that?
Well, it's the free agent period will open, a certain number of days after the World Series, and you make calls at midnight. You don't wait till the next morning. You make those calls at midnight so that player knows before he goes to bed that night or first thing in the morning when he wakes up that you've already called and you've already expressed interest. There's obviously relationships in the game where agents sometimes will want to know a little bit of where you stand, but they know they can't get into tampering. So you got to be very careful and wait till that midnight deadline. That's really the official opportunity. I mean, you can talk about what your needs are publicly and people can read between the lines. They're talking about a big slugger, or they're talking about a big left-handed starter, or they're talking about they really need a middle of the order guy, or they need a first baseman, and people can read between the lines. And as an agent or a player, you can presume, but not until after the World Series can you really make that pronouncement.
Thank you so much, Bobby. We appreciate it, and hopefully the Giants get it done. Have a good day.
All right, guys. Thanks. Good to be with you.
Thanks, Bob.
Great question by you, Luciano, huh?
Well,
I mean, man, that was a great one. Who is it?
Yeah, and I hated to drop the Reynolds on him because that one's painful, man. That's
nobody
painful.
talks about that.
Yeah. That's the one guy
and I'm
that got
surprised
away.
He hasn't got moved. I thought somebody was coming to swoop him off the Pirates' hand.
Right. Yankees supposedly kicked tires on Reynolds, and heck, I mean, he's emerged as this incredible young switch hitter, all-star outfielder.
They had, I think it was since 2019, the most homers in center field, up there with RBIs. I was like, man, he was a Giant.
And the Giants felt the need to get McCutchen at that point, and
going for it.
They were going for it. They, and that move is the one that. Man, if they could have – the Giants made a lot of moves during the Evans and Sabian era where they traded a lot of prospects.
Bobby was aggressive.
And more times than not, they didn't get burned. I mean, or their prospects didn't work out for the teams they traded them to. That was the one that burned them.
Yeah. And you know what? Doesn't get a lot of run. Hey, I'll tell you what, Larry. Let's go out to Fremont and welcome Rich to the program. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Guru?
Hey.
Hey, what's up, guys? Look. First of all, thanks for taking my call. I just want to say that is everybody else like me getting tired of the Giants, lack of just doing business? It just seems like, whenever a prospect comes up, they just sit back and watch it go by and they're trying to keep their nickels. And I'm just like, look, you know what? You're making money, then spend some money. I mean, I get up and I go to work and I make my money. But then I spend the money, too, because, I like having a nice car. I like living in a nice apartment in Fremont. And so that's what the business is about. And you're in the MLB business. So when you're in the MLB business, you got to spend some money. Guru, you heard me say this about 3 weeks ago. If they don't start purchasing some good players, they're going to be looking at the Dodgers in the AL West all year. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There is no cap in baseball. So
that makes it easier.
But then
you would think.
Then it goes to the discussion. It advances the discussion to, okay, what do you want them to spend? What is spending and what's not spending? They're spending like $155 million. I always look at it as, what's your revenue? You should spend based on your revenue. If you have no revenue, you shouldn't spend a whole lot of money because you're not bringing in a lot of money.
This team has some revenue.
The Giants have a lot of revenue. Now, I looked up the numbers last weekend. The Giants currently are spending 47% of their revenue pie on their baseball major league payroll. The Dodgers have a lot more revenue, but they're also spending 52% of that revenue on their payroll. It amounts to the Giants pocketing about $20 million of money that they probably, if they were going to spend commensurate with the Dodgers, they're going to spend the same percentage. Both are going to spend 52% of the payroll. Giants would have spent $20 million more on on their Major League Baseball payroll this year. If they had spent $20 million more, they may have signed Nick Castellanos. They may have picked up Kyle Schwarber. They could have gotten both. They could have. If you had added $20 million worth of players,
not superstars,
would they be the Padres? No. Would they be the Dodgers? No. But they would be right there with them. They would be a lot better off than they're at right now. So in my mind, there's really, you got to blame the ownership. You can't spend. It's one thing to not have the same revenue as LA. That's life. But you have to spend the same percentage of the revenue that they're spending, or you're operating at a competitive disadvantage. And they chose to pocket that $20 million, and they get what they get.
Okay. And right now, you ain't getting much. I want to go back to something, and we'll grab some calls here in a minute. I want to go back to something Bobby said. And you tell me if I'm looking at this deal that the Padres just landed Soto with wrong. He said it was a sigh of relief that Soto didn't go to the Dodgers. I get that in a sense, but it's almost worse that he went to the Padres, because now I believe they're on the level of the Dodgers. Yeah, they can use a starter or two, but now you got two monsters in your division. I thought you in the Padres, I felt like they were cousins, the Giants and Padres, but no longer. The Giants are last now when you talk about those three teams. So Bobby said it like, when I heard Southern California, I took it as him being happy, but to me, I'm looking at it like that's nightmare on Giant Street. Now you got another monster to deal with.
Yeah,
willing to spin and man,
would it be great for the Warriors if the Phoenix Suns added a bunch of players?
Okay. That
would hurt. Would it be better for the Warriors if the Clippers suddenly became the Phoenix Suns and on the Warriors level? Yeah, that would hurt too. So, I think I kind of disagree with Bob's notion there as well. I guess he's speaking more from the Giants fans hate the Dodgers and that kind of thing. Yeah. But I agree with you. Now you've got two powerhouse teams that are clearly better than you in your division.
I can't wait to see, and I'm not a Padre fan. Larry, I love ball. I can't wait to see, and I'm happy for Bo Mill. That's the other part of this. Like, now you got some horses.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see you go do it. You got a beautiful ballpark. That's just got to be a good feeling. And the fans in San Diego and the Dodger fans just spoiled. Like, I just want the fans here to feel that. But I will say this. Recency bias. Last year was a party here. I'm like you. Oh, it's May. It's June. Talk to me in July. 107. It was incredible. But I just feel like some way the baseball gods are making the Giants pay. And, people, Guru, you acting like the sky's falling. But in a sense, it's bigger than that. It's what's the future hold? Because right now they're old and stale. And nothing is imminent. What did you say? Nothing's coming.
Well, the bigger problem is that they were 17-2 or 16-2 against the Diamondbacks last year, and the Diamondbacks own them right now. And it's not accidental. Arizona's younger, they're more athletic, they're more powerful, they're faster. Forget about Dodgers Padres. The Giants aren't competitive with the Diamondbacks right now.
Oh, man.
I'm tired of getting pushed around.
Right. Larry, let's go out to San Leandro. Roy's been waiting. What's up, Roy?
Hey, how's it going, fellas? Hey, it's always great to talk to both of you.
Thank you.
I've been talking to Roy.
Oh, Roy's the man.
Roy, how long have we been talking, man? It's been decades.
We've been talking ever since the Giants been bad.
Exactly. It's been a long time.
Anyway, Larry, Guru, pay attention to what Larry said. He's going in the right direction. I played in the minor leagues. I know what I'm talking about. What the Giants need to do, and just like you said, Larry, you told, both of you mentioned about who coming up, who you could name. Well, the Giants this is what I really hate. The Giants always lusting at other players like Soto or like this person or that, a judge or this person. When they can go out and develop that, they need to put in more scouts, the scouting department, and sacrifice within and then build a minor league systems up. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying the Giant fans, everybody want a Juan Soto. Everybody wants a judge, but you're not going to get that. You have to develop that within your system. I played in the minor leagues after I got out of the military. I know what I'm talking about, and so what I'm saying is that I'm just tired of the fans and all like that. Larry Bear sit up like he's some publicist, you know, saying, "Oh, we're not running. We're not rebuilding. We're not rebuilding." Well, what the hell do you have down in the minor leagues?
Mm.
That's my whole point.
Yes, don't tell me you're not rebuilding.
Wow.
Rebuild. You know?
Yeah.
Don't tell. I don't care.
Roy with the fire.
You can label it anything you want. The fans in this market are really, really smart. This is not a market where people don't understand the game or don't understand the nuance of building a baseball team. People get it. So you can term it anything you want to term it. But the reality is you need to rebuild.
So what I'm not giving Farhan an A+ for the 4 years he's been here, because speaking to what you and Roy are talking about, there should be more diamonds in the rough on the farm that we're excited about, or some that are closer to being called up, Larry. But when you throw the Derek Jeter at me 2 or 3 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, this could stay ugly, because it's getting ugly. But right now they're 4.5 back. But I'm like, man, you run this back. Why would we be fired up next opening day? If what's going to change?
Yeah, we need to see a full-fledged assault to add talent to the organization. That means free agent market got to be competitive, trade market got to be competitive. If you're not drafting the right people, then maybe you need to replace the people that are doing your drafting. If you're not developing at the right pace, then maybe you need to change the people that are in your development pipeline. But they got to make the adjustments. They got plenty of money to do it. They can attract any scouts they want, any player development people they want. It's just a matter of picking the right people internally, picking the right people in the amateur draft. And then I kind of like the Farhan move today. I was saying at the break, I don't know anything about those pitchers they got from the Mets, but you know what?
You got options.
Darren Ruff for JD Davis and 3 arms. If you could move Rodon for, a key piece or, 2
running out
here or there. I mean, if you can build up your arsenal of players that potentially could help you in a year, that's probably your best ticket to running with the Padres and Dodgers.
That's interesting. And one more thing Roy said before we go to break, Larry.
Roy's an OG.
Yeah, he is OG. Did you know what position he played? I was going to ask
No,
him.
but I mean, it's just I've been taking his calls since like the late 90s.
Listen, so did you ever think Stanton, who the Giants went to L.A. or supposedly were in the hotel lobby or talking to him, I thought he was coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposedly he nixed it.
Oh,
they supposedly the Marlins agreed to a deal with the Giants.
Wow, didn't know that. We're going to switch it up a bit because there were 2 players that kind of got into it at Niners camp, Larry, and it's that time of day. So we'll get into it and get your thoughts and see if that's a good thing right here. It's Larry Krueger, Daryle the Guru Johnson on 95.7 The Game. And in case you miss any of today's show, download and subscribe to Steiny and Guru on the Odyssey app. You can listen anytime, any day, all in a single day. Find Steiny and Guru plus all the content from 95.7 The Game on the Odyssey app today.
It's software.com. Accounting and payroll. Keep your time and money.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Throw the flag, Larry. I had to let my guy get it out. But 2 o'clock, we got John Dickinson, boots on the ground. He'll join us. He's at camp. And has it hit you, Larry, that football's around the corner?
Oh, are you kidding me, man? I'm fired up.
We got a game 2 days.
Seriously, Hall of Fame game. Who's in the Hall of Fame game? I have not looked at the matchup. It's
I want to say the Raiders.
Raiders? Okay,
how about I tell you,
Raiders.
I'm good at this. I don't know. And then the guys will tell us who it is. But I think it's the Raiders.
It's the Raiders, but who are they going against? Raiders who?
The Jags.
Raiders, Jags.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are not going in that game.
Okay, I get that.
But I love, I love Hall of Fame weekend. I'll tell you this. I love speeches, like the 2 speeches I love during the year. I love hearing like commencement speeches, like college graduation, because it's like, all right, go out there and kick ass. Yeah. And, sometimes they're inspirational. Right. And then I love NFL Hall of Fame speeches because, man,
Rayfield Wright.
These guys speak from the heart.
It's real.
And I hated the fact that last year
they put a timer on it.
And I felt like John Lynch. John Lynch was just, I wanted to hear him really, I don't want to hear these guys rushed. You know what I mean? It's bad enough that you're finding NFL players for having their socks down. When they make it to the Hall of Fame and they want to talk about their high school coach and their wife,
man.
Let them do it.
Yeah.
And if it goes on forever, so the hell what?
It's
on the NFL Network.
Yeah, we are too cutthroat in this world. And I know yesterday you said, Goo, I'm not big into these award shows, but I watch the ESPYs. And when I tell you, you tell me if I'm a little bit of a wimp here. I shed a tear, man. And I didn't know I was going to. Dick Vitale, battling cancer, was up there, and he said in his speech, talking about his great friend Jim Valvano, who had passed, and we know about his speech. But he goes, damn it, because they were telling him kind of to wrap it up, and he was speaking, but it was so heartfelt and passion, and he was choking up, but he told him, go shove that timer, you know where.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's how you do that. But
I love Dick Vitale, by the way.
But did you see the speech?
Yeah. I mean,
oh, man,
I love
Larry,
Dick Vitale.
I'm sorry, man. I just think about my family when you hear people talk about people that moved them and what they're going through, and it's like the hell with that timer.
It's funny. I sat next to Dick Vitale on a plane once.
This
is years ago. He was the same guy that you would see on ESPN. Seriously, Goo. He's my diaper daddy, Dipsy Doodle, All-American, J.R. Reed, baby, J.R. Reed. Oh, I mean,
what a kind!
I mean, we're over like Minnesota or something, and he's doing full on ESPN Dick Vitale. So
that is beautiful.
I love Dick Vitale.
I'm with you. That's real. Don't put a timer on feelings.
No, enough. Seriously, these guys, blood, sweat, and tears. And
they're legends too.
And they're legends. And now you're in Canton, Ohio with your moment in the sun.
I couldn't believe last year.
Who gives a crap if it goes for 3 hours instead of 2 hours? Yeah. Who cares? At the end of the day, it's on the NFL Network. We're not talking about network TV and prime time.
Do you think it's some hotshot intern? Like, what metric do they use to say, you know what? Hey, close the door. We're gonna put a time limit on these hot. Like that was just, I was turned off. Man.
I cannot wait for this year. BY, who I consider a friend, Bryant Young, one of my favorite Niners. He's going in, and he's well deserving. He's as good a person as I think I've met covering sports. And this guy played 9 years with a metal rod in his leg.
He's a beast.
That catastrophic injury.
Yeah, he's Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, Notre Dame, 7th pick in the draft. Niners had good D linemen, but they didn't have a BY, and they drafted him, and they won the Super Bowl.
Look
his
at
rookie year.
Yeah, when the Niners go, they win.
Oh,
not so much
in the middle.
Now, when I saw you at camp, I was a kid in the candy store. I was trying to hide it. I had the shades on, Larry.
I said, whatever you do, don't get rolled up on.
Right, yeah.
But more importantly than not getting rolled up on, don't be afraid like you're going to get rolled up on when you're not getting rolled up
and that's when it happens.
And that's when you look really bad.
But there was a play at the sideline to where Warner was coming. He didn't tackle Ayuk, but they had a little joshing back and forth.
It was like right in front of us.
I can't repeat it, right in front of us. I said, oh, two teammates. But now there are reports that they've been these two players, Ayuk and Warner, they've been talking to each other. And Larry, I guess some are saying, is it a good or bad thing? This is a violent game. I feel like Warner is taking him under his wing, and that's why he's talking to his offensive player for that. And then when it's go time and they play Sunday, he's kind of toughening them up. How do you see? I like that if I were a football coach.
Well, I mean, the coaches will always
offense against defense.
Well, and the coaches always say, we don't want to see it. We don't want to see those fights.
That's
that. That's what they say publicly. And then they go into the coach's room, pop a Copenhagen in and say, man, did you see those guys? I loved it. They love it because it's a rough game played by rough guys. And do you want to hit? Do you want to challenge guys? Do you want to get out there and compete? So there's good and bad fights. The thing that we saw years ago when the Raider player, it Marcus Robinson? I think it was Romo started wailing on. That kind of stuff's bad. You don't want dysfunction where guys are getting attacked. I think that might have been in Washington's camp actually, but you do want to see, especially after 3 or 4 days, you want to see some. Nastiness. You want to see some nastiness.
Yeah,
you want to see
nasty.
some. Yeah, it means guys care.
That's wow.
That's all it means. Doesn't mean anything. And as far as like, what's the, it's not like, this isn't corporate America. If two people at the copy machine down the hall here at the radio station.
The Office, one of the greatest shows ever made.
If all of a sudden guys are throwing hands at the copy machine, that's generally a bad thing in your place of work. But in the NFL, that's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing during camp.
Now, we saw a couple years ago, 54 Fred W. He got his chicken, and rightfully so. I didn't know he was going to be this good. You tell me if you thought he was going to be this good.
No, I was totally wrong on Fred. I thought he was he didn't play linebacker at BYU. Right. He played like this rover position. He was kind of a grab and drag type tackler. This guy's changed his body. Man. He's stronger, faster. Yeah, I totally was fooled on Warner.
I will never say he went Michael Jackson and had a bad year last year. But what did you make of his year last year? I thought there wasn't slippage, but it wasn't the year before. What did you make of his year last year?
I mean, he's still damn good, but it wasn't what we expected.
Okay. All right.
And also, I don't think he's the best linebacker. He got paid, but he's not the best linebacker they got. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think he is. I think Azeez Al-Shaair is bigger, stronger, faster, shows up at the ball carrier with a nasty disposition, bigger hitter, more physical.
I'm shocked.
And I love Greenlaw too. I think Greenlaw, they got
this is a big year for him, right?
They got 3 all-pro type players there. I mean, literally, Azeez, Greenlaw, and Warner could all be all-pro type players. They're all Pro Bowl caliber linebackers. It's far and away the Niners' strength of their team is the linebackers, and then the guys behind them are even good. They got some young kids in there.
Ward's a baller.
More a Marcelino McCrary Ball from Indiana. He wears 40 out there.
Alma mater.
Yeah, seriously, look for Marcelino McCrary Ball in the preseason. I mean, he's just detonating on dudes. I mean, blowing people up. He's wearing that green dot. He's flying all over the place. When you see, undrafted rookie free agents who are getting veterans lined up correctly in minicamp and training camp, that they studied, they prepared, they're ready. Remember Marcelino McCrary Ball. He's undersized. He's like 6 feet, 215 pounds. But in today's NFL, where you want speed over everything else, this guy flies and he's got instincts.
You know what? That's beautiful. I got this fetish where I just like watching old games. And I went through the Niners.
So I got this little fetish.
Wow. Playoff last year. I'm on this kick about Jimmy Ward. Maybe it's because I saw him in person, but I mean, this dude is a ball hawk. Do you think he gets his just due? Because I'm like, he'll go in there and try to hit you, but with the ball in the air, there are a lot, I don't have to tell you, cornerbacks and safeties to where I feel like it's a dying trait. Back in the days of Everson Walls and Ronnie Lott and Hicks, you turned your head. Now it's like honestly, I'm like, you're in the NFL, a dying art, and it ruined my friend Roy Williams from the Dallas Cowboys. They used to have him on the line. He got 2 contracts, but how do you get to that stature and then get exposed when the ball's in the air, and that's what they did. Oh, we could stretch it out and have Roy cover, and it got all bad after that. But I thought, how did this guy reach these heights? But then they figured him out and made him cover. But I say all that to say Ward, his ball skills, he's a baller.
Oh, he's a special player. He's one of the most underrated players in the entire league.
I'm going. Okay.
Seriously, he really is, because if you had to line him up at corner, you could. All right.
I hadn't even thought of that.
If you had to line him up at corner, he could play corner. If you had to line him up at weak side backer, he can do that too. So I mean, there aren't too many guys like that who could play you could
versatility.
Cover. You know, they could cover and they could play safety. He could play free. He could play strong. You know, on this team, they're asking him to do a ton. Why? Because they play a ton of that cover 3. He's got to play the deep middle. He's got a ton of green grass he's got to cover. If you may take one wrong step, it's a touchdown. Jimmy Ward has the absolute respect of the coaches, the players. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Now, I didn't think that coming out of Northern Illinois. He had foot problems and stress fractures and that kind of thing, but he's gotten his body healthy, and man, he looked awesome in the mini camp, and he looked like he could play the next day. And he's really, the coaches think he's, one of the most underrated players on the entire team.
See that, and I'm feeling that. Like that's big. Hey, we got a trade, Larry. Tell me what you think.
All right, let's hear it.
The Seattle Mariners are acquiring catcher Kurt Casale from the San Francisco Giants for Michael Streifler, according to sources familiar with the situation per Robert Murray. So Casale is no longer a Giant. And these were all the guys, Ruff, Casale, coming up roses last year, man.
Well, and this is the sell-off. This is like, hey, what pieces do you have that other teams view as valuable? Casale's a great clubhouse guy, tough as hell.
Yeah.
Good backup catcher, got some right-handed power, kind of not much of a hitter. But I don't know anything about the player they got coming back. But
Michael Streifler.
Yeah. I mean, is he a highly rated prospect or anything? I'm not familiar with Seattle's system, but I like the idea of selling. To me, the Giants should sell. They should sell. They're 3-9 since the break.
But what if they go 9-3 in the next 12?
To me, who are they beating? Okay. They got 2 starting pitchers. They got a horrendous pen. They're a bad defensive team. They're 3-4-5. In their,
I can't argue nothing what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like there's not a lot there. So it's like, don't knock you. Don't be unreasonable. If your team doesn't have it, don't try to force it. And that's what Farhan's doing. He came out of the break. He said, you know what? We'd rather buy than sell. But his team went 3-9 in 12 games. And they said to him, you know what? We're not up for it. And so now he's going to sell. I think it's smart.
It's funny. We saw the Orioles 2.5 back of the last wild card spot, and they traded their top reliever. I come in this morning and I tell Sterling, why would they do that? And his response was like, it'll be greater later. They're trying to get better. But I'm like, what about now? Doesn't that mean something, getting that 3rd spot if you're the Orioles? Why would you trade a commodity? But he's saying, no, they're stacking things. So when I guess you got a better chance later, Larry. Tomorrow's not promised, man.
Back. I know, but you take 2 steps back to take a step forward.
All right.
You take 3 steps.
And I got
back
numbers on your guy.
Yeah, I mean, do you? Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I would say. I know everybody wants to go for it. Giants aren't mathematically out of it, but man.
But I love what you said. You'll watch tonight, right?
I'm going to watch no matter what.
And I know Krueg and Kai.
What have they shown in the last 2 weeks that says, you know what? This team just gets in the playoffs. They're going to make a run for the World Series. If you think that you're seeing that, I got to question what you're seeing.
Okay. Oh, so he was in AA, 2.27 ERA, Larry, and that's across 35.2 innings. And he's 26 years old.
How many strikeouts?
Right-handed pitcher reliever. Strikeouts, I don't have that. We'll get that. But another arm.
It's a good ERA.
Yeah, AA. Especially in today's baseball.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you're Farhan, what can you do right now for
14
this year?
Ks per 9 innings.
That's a ton. That means you probably get good stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the safe thing to do is move some of these pieces that are totally replaceable, and then try to improve your inventory of arms and talent. And so when you reconvene in Scottsdale in March next year, you're looking at a bunch of guys who all have talent and upside. And you got to hit a reset, and that's what he's doing. He's hitting the reset here, and I hope they move Rodon to the Twins because there's been talk the Twins really want Rodon.
Man, they're first place.
Twins have an outfielder named Wallner who's in the futures game, and
that's the lefty dude.
Yeah, he hit a bomb down the right field line off of Kyle Harrison. That was got out. He hit it like 114
the Giants. Kyle Harrison.
Yes.
Oh no! All right,
this guy. If they can get even one impactful guy for Rodon, I think you got to do it.
Okay, and you're listening to Larry Krueger, Daryle the Guru Johnson, right here on 95.7 The Game. We got JD coming up at 2 p.m. The 925, and I think he's talking to me, Larry. Forget effing last year. Enough. And
I agree.
How do you? Okay, but walk me through. I'm in your doctor's office. Walk me through turning the page, and then my follow up to that is what you and Willard talked about. They got money. We got to follow the Giants and this money. Like, how can you not be in on Judge if you see what the Padres did and what the Dodgers are? Because Larry, to me, just the Guru computer, we're talking about 3 or 4 years of nothing. And I know that's 162 games and times that time 4. Dude, you can't predict what's going to happen. But as I look at it now, age, attrition is kicking in. You talk about the 2 starters. One, if Rodon gets traded, this could get ugly fast.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to every area where you can improve your talent, you got to try it. So,
wow.
I'm not saying don't go for Judge. I'm just saying don't bank on beating the Yankees out for him. I mean, come on. That would be a major PR disaster in New York if they lost Aaron Judge to the Giants. But Mark is right that we don't know what's going through Judge's mind. He's from Linden, California. Maybe he wants to.
He said he was a Giant fan.
Yeah, he grew up a Giant fan. Maybe he wants out of the Big Apple.
There it is. The sign still didn't deliver.
But I would compete for him. I would compete for Trey Turner. Even
you like Trey? Who doesn't like Trey? He's awesome.
I think Luciano may not make it, and even if he does, I think he's 3 years away, and Crawford's got maybe a year. So maybe you play next year. You play Crawford at short, and you play Trey Turner at second, and then you move Trey Turner to short when Crawford's done in 2 years. I'm just thinking about that.
They still owe Crawford $16 million. Am I being too sometimey right now to say that? That's like I hear Halloween music in my head.
Yeah,
Stella. They owe him $9 million.
Oh, well, I mean, some of the worst. You can talk about Bobby Evans handicapped, the situation, or handcuffed Farhan with some of the contracts that Farhan inherited. But look at DeSclafani's deal. Look at Stella's deal. Man. I mean, there's some bad deals that Farhan signed. So he can't point the finger at Bobby Evans for Stella or DeSclafani. Those are his bad deals. So, anytime you go in the free agent market, it's a landmine, right? It's like, who knows? I mean, you're going to pay for guys usually in their 30s, usually in decline. You're going to overpay them on the open market. So it's like you really got to pick and choose. I like what Farhan did this year as far as he got Peterson for nothing. He got Rodon for 2 years instead of Gausman for 5. I think he made some good decisions, but ultimately they gotta get more aggressive, and they got to figure out what they're doing wrong in the amateur draft and change it up, because LA's farm system and San Diego's farm system is better than yours, and they're spending more. So they got you beat, right? Yeah. If they're spending more and they're developing better talent, how are you going to compete with them? That's a problem.
2 texts, one from the 813, Larry. Playing it safe gets you fired just as much as taking a chance. I love that.
No question.
And then also, too, they try to come at me, Larry. 925. Guru doesn't even know where Linden is. I think it's by Bakersfield.
Yeah, it's Central Valley. There you go.
Visalia,
Fresno. It's all right there.
This is not Fresno.
Shafter, Wasco. Come on, you've been down there, right?
Yeah, Low Neal's air neck of the woods.
Lemoore, yeah.
So this can be hard to say, but I can get it out. Do you honestly think, and people could say I'm being wrong here, but it's just a vibe I get, Larry. Do you think if the Giants had a different manager not named Gabe Kapler, that Buster would still be catching?
No.
Okay.
No,
I just had to get that. I was talking to Pops, and he was saying something to that effect. I was like, you know what? I was like, but that ain't fair to Gabe.
I mean, yeah, and I think Buster's equation didn't involve Gabe, And I'll say this for Buster. I interviewed Buster last year in September, and Buster said a lot of complimentary things about the staff, and so did Crawford. That they really had good things to say about Gabe's coaching staff and kind of their new way of looking at things. And I asked Buster, I said, is it like they've got some secret ingredient? And he said to me, he's like, you know what? What I like the most about the hitting staff, and this was, the 3 coaches they had last year. He's like, it's not a one size fits all kind of a deal. It's not like they're telling all of us the same thing. What's working for me maybe isn't working for Brandon Crawford. Right. What's working for Crawford maybe is not working for Belt. So it wasn't like a one size fits all deal, which tells me that it's not some gimmick. They're actually going down, breaking down the film, looking at each individual guy, trying to help them improve individually. So I'm a believer that the Giants have some really good coaches who have done some really good things. I just think this unbelievable, being totally wed to lefty-righty matchups over prestige. I mean, I went to a game.
I know where you're going.
Brandon Belt hit a ball off the wall. He had 3 hits.
I was watching that one.
He got pinch hit for the next at bat.
Why?
Yeah.
Break that computer or spreadsheet.
Right. So,
you earned your 4th trip up there. You're hot.
And also, you're Brandon Belt.
Oh, man.
I mean, on this team.
I watched that game.
On this team, he's one of your premier
bats.
Was
pissed off?
Oh, I guarantee you
There's
he was pissed off.
Fuming.
In fact, he was interviewed by Baggerly afterwards in a phone interview, and Baggerly asked him to kind of question it. And he paused. Well, he knew he was talking to a media guy. He knew he was talking to Baggerly. He knew it was going to go public. So, but that pause tells you
silence
everything.
Is deafening.
Yeah, he paused there. And he basically just said, hey, you know what? I think I would have came through. Yeah, I realized it was lefty on lefty, but I think I would have came through.
Oh, my.
And that's about as far as Brandon Belt's going to go to question the manager. He's not going to say, Gabe needs to pull his head out of his.
But stuff like that,
he's not going to say that,
Larry.
Well, and I just think you lose some of your veterans.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's why I keep citing the Crawford, his wife's tweet about the butt. Little stuff like that.
I just think that there is, now this team doesn't have the talent to win, so it feels uncomfortable to blame
Gabe. Just won 107, but okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But that team had Posey. That team had Bryant. That team had Solano. That team had a really hot bullpen. That team had a Jake McGee that was rolling. So this year their talent base isn't as good. Is that on Gabe? No, that's on the ownership. That's on Farhan. You know what I mean? So they all collectively have to share the blame in this thing. But I just think the vibe around the team is so tight. They seem really, really tight. And I would blame Gabe for that.
Let's talk about the closer, Duvall. And I love everything about him. Love his physique. You got that fastball. But why is he not? And the best thing about this season, if they fade, is it's not at his doorstep. But Larry, I feel like there's not a mental block, but you're throwing the slider. Why aren't you throwing that heater? Why aren't they in your ear like, son, this is who you are. This is what got you the closer position. But I feel like there's like a disconnect to where he's pitching the wrong way. Like it makes no sense. But I'm just wondering, are the coaches saying anything to him?
I think it's a product of modern baseball. I mean, I've seen it with other teams as well. You'll see a guy and he throws 7 pitches in an at-bat, and the 8th pitch is like some nasty strikeout plus pitch, whether it be a slider, curveball, fastball, and you're like, dude, I just watched this at bat. Yeah. Where was this pitch until the 8th pitch? Right. And I just think that that's kind of the way it is right now. It's like, and I don't know if it's the analytic community or what, but right. In the old days, and I say old days, like I'm talking about like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If you threw 99, you pumped 99. And you mixed in your secondary pitch was truly secondary. Now you might have a guy who throws 100.
See, I don't like that,
but he only throws that pitch one of every 7 pitches.
And why would but to tell the computer you're wrong, why would you do that? Go down with what you do best. And I see Duvall and then he's starting to walk some guys too. Try all that, the pitch you're talking about, like, oh man, it looks like magic. The off-speed stuff, the curveball. But I'm like, man, come with that high heat, damn it. we got JD from camp coming up, Larry, so I can't wait to talk to him. 95.7 The Game, thousands of other stations, and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, and podcasts are all available completely free. You can catch every Warriors game live on the app, along with music and news with Bay Area needs. Follow your favorite team, station, radio shows, and podcasts now by downloading the free Odyssey app.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
No, Steiny today. It's Larry Krueger along with myself, Daryle the Guru Johnson, holding down till 3 o'clock. And we got a heavyweight on the line. But, Larry, I'm smiling because before we get out of here, and I'm going to get JD's thoughts on it, the Warriors debuted the new jersey. And I'm just a jersey head, like all sports, hockey, all of it, soccer. So I'll get your thoughts on their jersey. But first, I want to continue the conversation. And JD is boots on the ground. What's up, JD?
What's up, fellas? Good to be with you, man. A feisty day out at 49ers camp.
Nice.
A couple of fights. Fred Warner and Brandon Ayuk mixing it up a couple of times. At one point, they were both face to face, like they were gonna box, and then a full-on brawl to the ground took place with players flying in. Kyle Shanahan actually stopped practice after the second incident where there were multiple players, probably 15, 20 guys on the ground in a scrum, and called everybody together and kind of chewed everybody out. It was the hottest practice in terms of just the temperature out here in Santa Clara, the longest practice. And I think, second day in pads. And I know Brandon Ayuk had kind of said that Fred Warner can chirp a little bit after every play, and it can, get under your skin. And I think that happened today, guys.
Dudes get fired up, I'm personally, it's not surprising. I mean, helmets on, helmets off, JD. Were everybody keep their helmet on, or what was the deal?
Yeah, helmets on. And look, things really got a little bit more out of control. It was Warner after the initial just kind of jawing and back and forth. A couple of plays later, Warner put a lick on one of the young wide receivers, and then basically the whole wide receiver room at that point decided that they were going to be coming over, led by Ayuk, who jumped in the fray, and Deebo Samuel came sprinting in. But yeah, everybody kept the helmets on and kept it under control in that fashion. But number of teammates went over to both Ayuk and Warner, who were walking it off on the side, just furious for a lengthy part. You got, Ayuk's emergence as a leader, and Fred Warner, I think, looking to bounce back from what in his eyes was a disappointing 2021 type of a season compared to where he had been in years prior. And so I think you add it all up, and the emotions got the better for a bit, but the team was able to come back and finish practice, I think, on a strong note.
Good stuff, JD. What's funny is Larry and I were just talking about Fred Warner, and I asked him about his year last year. Just me, and I'm not a ball coach, but I think it's all in good fun that, both teams are sharpening their knives, get tough. But last Friday, I got this stat line, and I know we're in a world of information and overkill, but I remember Jimmy Garoppolo, the 5 interception practice, JD. I'll never forget it. And people were going crazy. I might have been one of them. But Trey Lance Friday, if I'm correct, was 3 of 10 with 1 INT, and I saw that imprint on Twitter. My question to the great John Dickinson is, forget that. What would you make of Trey's camp thus far?
I think, look, I'm just going to say it bluntly. I think it's been a little underwhelming to this point. Now, that being said, it's hard to have it not be underwhelming when you're constantly running for your life on a lot of plays. And that's been the case the last 2 days in particular, but was the case. I know, Larry, you were out there for a couple of days. That's been the case anytime they would go to the team drills. He just hasn't had the time. Now, accuracy and timing, he's made some throws and he's missed some throws. I think much like you'd expect a second-year quarterback that's probably closer to being a rookie than a true second-year guy would make. But I think the biggest takeaway in some form is it's been underwhelming, but it's also been a little difficult to fully grasp why it's been underwhelming. And I know the Niners have gone out of their way. Hey, this defense is really good, top 5, top 3, maybe even the best defense in the NFL. And so when it's ones versus ones, and the Niner D-line is the linchpin for the whole thing on the defensive side of the ball, it can make life difficult for a young quarterback. But yeah, 10 of 19, 11 of 18, kind of depending upon your count today. as far as Trey goes, but just trying to get more comfortable. But to be honest, I have to say it hasn't looked as smooth as I was hoping it would look in these first 6 practices. But again, it's only 2 in pads and there's a long way to go.
Yeah. It's so hard to figure out what's real and what's just kind of not real. I mean, it's funny. Charvarius Ward hit the mic after practice the other day, and somebody had some question about, hey, the DBs have 6 interceptions. And his answer started with, yeah, it's training camp. And it's like, you know what? That was a great answer because, at the end of the day, it's training camp. How many meaningful things can you really draw out of some of these July practices? I'm not really sure. Give me your thought, though, on Debo and the guaranteed money. That deal gets done yesterday, 3 years, $71 million, $58 million guaranteed. Was that a higher number of guaranteed dollars than you thought he would get, or right about what you thought he would get? How do you evaluate the deal?
I thought he was going to be pushing 60 just when you started to lay out some of the other contracts. I really did. I thought 60 became the number that I thought would be the asking point, or almost that's the deal that I would sign immediately if I'm Deebo Samuel, the one that's 3 years and it basically guarantees me 60. I get to be 29, 30 and have another bite at the apple, which I think is something that he wants. But I think the 58-1, Larry and Goo, is more than the Niners wanted or anticipated. I think there was some give on the 49ers part that we haven't seen from them maybe in some of these other deals. And I think initially, Debo met with the media today and he didn't really have a whole heck of a lot to say other than he's just happy it's over with. He didn't really say he didn't say he regretted requesting the trade. But he didn't really say he didn't, regret it either. And so I think it was a guy that was just happy to have it all over. He did say he loves his teammates. And I think that when you hear him speak of his relationship with Kyle Shanahan, that is true and real. And there's a love there that probably ultimately held this thing together. But Larry, the Niners want to be the smartest guys in the room when it comes to the money and who's going to get what, having it all break down and fit on the spreadsheet properly and not really having an agent or a player feel like they're totally getting over on them. And I think Debo's initial reaction going back to the scrubbing of the Instagram and the request of the trade and all of that, I think that was his initial just statement, shot across the bow, if you will, that dealing with me is going to be different than any of these other guys you've dealt with over. And maybe a deal will wind up being arranged, and it did wind up getting done, but it's going to make you maybe feel a little bit more uncomfortable, comparatively speaking, to a lot of these other deals. And he did go out of his way today to say he being the wide back had nothing to do with it. He always wants to do what the team, to help the team win and all of that. But I think the Niners' point of view of this with the 3 years, guys, I think they're just looking at it as a little bit of an overpay. Again, I'm getting inside their head, but only 3 years. They'll just use them up. And if there's anything left at that point, I think this is the last deal that the 49ers are ever going to strike with Deebo Samuel. I'll just put it that way. The 60 or 58.1, the next 3, and then it's out the door at that point, and they'll feel comfortable using them however they see fit.
Interesting. John Dickinson joined Larry and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. I woke up to live from camp. I woke up to BetQL. They had some odds, and they had the Niners winning the division. And I don't put anything past this team. And I was telling Larry, but if I'm the Rams, you got Matt Stafford, who just went and won the Super Bowl, and the Niners are doing quarterback shuffle with essentially a rookie quarterback, Jay. I just don't feel comfortable as I look at Larry and say, I think the Niners are better than the Rams today. How do you see it?
I think the Rams are the better team today. And I think the big question mark is the quarterback and the interior offensive line, and those two are tied together. Now, I look at the other position groups on the field for the Niners, and I think they're loaded. It's just a matter of what are they going to get from the quarterback position? What is he going to be able to accomplish for them this season? Because I think the running game is going to be there. I think this has the potential to be the best wide receiving group that Kyle Shanahan has had. without much doubt now with Ayuk's emergence, and he looks like he's been awesome. They've upgraded in the secondary. Charvarius Ward, who got the day off today, looks like the real deal in terms of a number one corner that they haven't had really in decades. A dude in his prime that's ready to just lock people down. The linebackers are angry and flying around. And of course, everybody knows the story with the D-line. Really, the question is up front on the offensive side and Trey Lance. And so for that reason, I couldn't pick the 49ers over the Rams to win the division. But I think the key goo is going to be, one, how much of what we're seeing at camp is really the fact that he's going up against the Niner defense, which might be the best in the NFL. But the other part of it is, how much can Kyle scheme of maybe some designed runs and putting Trey in the best position to succeed and hitting a few more explosive plays that maybe offset the fact that his accuracy isn't quite where you want it to be at this point in year two. I think there's a pathway to a lot of victories for the Niners, but it's a pathway of, think Jimmy Garoppolo 2019, where the defense is awesome. Maybe you're hitting a few more explosives and Kyle is scheming it up while you're trying to avoid a lot of the big mistakes in an attempt to maximize not what Trey Lance is going to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, but just the fact that he may not fully be ready to be the let Trey cook kind of a quarterback just yet in 2022.
JD, one of my scouting buddies said Drake Jackson should have gone in the 20s or maybe the early 30s, and instead the Niners got him at 61. How's he looking with the pads on? Is he running with the ones? What's your thought on him?
Yeah, he got some time with the ones yesterday, and the Niners do like to rotate a lot of people in, but I think that's a good. I think your friend is on point there. He looks like a player that's got some dog to him, which I know the Niners love those kinds of guys, especially up front, especially guys that are going to be looking to get after the quarterback and heat the quarterback up. And look, there are reps. There are snaps to be had as a pass rusher for this 49ers team opposite of Nick Bosa and in rotation. And I think he's on a track to be a major part of the mix at this point. It was telling yesterday, day one, with the pads, to see him out there getting some first team reps. That tells me they like him. That tells me that he's got the edge and the dog to him that the 49ers like, and that tells me that Kusarik is really liking him and working with him and thinks he's got something to bring to the table. So he's absolutely a name to watch and a guy that I do think is going to be a factor for this team sooner rather than later at a position where, I mean, if the Niners have multiple pass rushers, look out. I mean, if they get it, look out as far as dominance on that end of the football.
Thank you so much, JD. Hey, before we let you go, Larry and he's in the uniform. I got a nerd friend now. He's in the uniform club. Did you get a chance to see the Warriors' new uniform they debuted this morning?
I did. They're a little bland to me. I typically
look like Michigan.
Michigan or Count across the front. I don't know. I didn't love them. They're typically I kind of like most jerseys for the most part, unless it's the Giants, what are the City Connect Giant ones that they won every game in, but those are pretty hideous. But no, I didn't love them. A little bland. I love it, Jay.
It looks good. Looks good on Kuminga.
There you go.
I'm not sure if it's going to look good on me.
Everything looks good on.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk to you soon, JD. Right on, man.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it, guys.
See you, JD.
Drake Jackson, huh?
Yeah,
wow,
that's good news.
My ears perked up like we'll be watching him. Speaking of which, so first when I saw the Warrior uniform, just back to it later, I was like, oh, damn, is this fake? It was real because it was Kuminga, like you said. But then they said Cal, and I said, okay, it's Cal. We're okay.
It definitely. I when you said Michigan, it reminded me a lot of Michigan.
Yeah,
it's got a Michigan look.
Yeah,
but as long I'm not big on the charcoal color uniforms. As long as they stay with their colors, I like their colors. I like Golden State's colors.
Are you going Colorado Rockies with their green and they have like Milwaukee wearing black unis?
Don't change your colors.
Johnson was my first favorite player. Sidney Moncrief. You had black nowhere. When do you Stanford? When they had you don't have black at all.
Duke wore black.
Yeah, right,
UCLA wore black.
You ain't the Raiders. Like when did that become cool? Just go jack a color.
But what did you think? What do you think of the Niner black jerseys?
I loved
it. Was I thought they were cool.
Loved them.
I'll say this: hard to read the numbers because they were red on black, so you didn't get the outline. But outside of reading the numbers, and what do I care about reading the numbers? I'm not the play-by-play guy, but I liked it. And then now they're talking about I would love the Niners to go with the alternative gold helmets.
Yeah,
shiny gold.
You can do that with the helmets.
Giants trade?
Yeah, no. Trevor Rosenthal traded to the Brewers per John Heyman.
Yeah, that's that. He's a Giant.
Yeah.
So it is a Giant.
Oh, yeah.
So Rosenthal. So they just signed Rosenthal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never pitched for the Giants.
It's been 2 years, right? He ain't threw a ball for how long?
Oh, I mean, I think it was a couple years ago. But when he threw it, it was 97 miles an hour.
But the quick thing is when he did.
Yeah. What did for just players?
Yeah, that's it right now. So we'll see who they gave up.
Yeah, we'll see on that one. But that's basically the Giants are selling off and they're going piece by piece, and I would endorse it.
But nothing we've heard or a player back to this 4.5. If you're saying there's a chance, Jim Carrey. The 4.5, nothing stops in regard to I won't say they didn't get to their goal, Larry, because Ruff got traded. So I won't say that. You know what I mean? I won't. So that's what I like about this. They're getting some stuff back, but if you're still in on 4.5 is 4.5. Larry, I remember I used to deliver the paper. There were 4 divisions. And if you were 9 games back in September 1, this me, 11, 12 years old, I'm like, you still got action. So if you're 4.5 back now, you still technically got action, but you got to show life. And this team's not doing that. But nobody that left today, Casali included, will I say they can't reach their goal of getting hot at least. Crawford comes back. Peterson comes back. Belt shows some life.
I think Peterson gets moved.
Oh.
I think Peterson gets moved. I'm hoping Peterson gets moved.
We got 40 minutes.
And I'm hoping Rodon gets moved.
But the fact Rodon hasn't got moved yet means something ain't right.
Well, I mean, I think the Giants' ask is tall. I mean, the Giants are asking a lot for Rodon. And they should ask a lot for Rodon because, he's a big-time arm. But I think they're going to move him. Why? Because I think that they don't want to get caught holding the bag next year at $22 million, especially if he's hurt. And this is a guy who's had a lot of arm problems. And right now he's healthy, and you can get something for him. And you passed up on this opportunity with Bumgarner a couple years ago. I can't see Farhan passing on this opportunity twice. I mean, let's be honest. They're 4.5 back in the wild card. They got 2 teams in front of them. Are they going to outrun the Cardinals and Phillies? Despite the fact the Giants have a tougher schedule in the NL West, they can't beat Arizona, they can't beat San Diego, they can't beat the Dodgers, but they're going to outrun the Cardinals and the Phillies for that last spot. I don't see it. So I'm all for the sell.
If I were to ask you, Larry Krueger, who's your favorite Giant of all time? I'm random, keep up with me, but I'm looking at you. You grew up in the city. I had you in Walnut Creek. I forgot that. I'm like, who's this guy?
I mean, I'd pick my guy and my year. I'm going to go Kevin Mitchell, 1989.
He was a bad dude with the gold tooth.
Oh, I mean,
he was a mean SOB.
I mean, I don't care what Bonds did or what Griffey's done or what Manny or any of the great offensive seasons I've seen. Kevin Mitchell, 1989, was everything off his bat was loud.
Is that when he caught the ball one-handed in St. Louis? Okay.
That might have been the year before. I'm not sure if it was 88 or 89, but
it happened, though.
Kevin Mitchell traded for came over in July of 87. Giants won the division in 87, then won the pennant in 89. His year in 89 was unbelievable.
For you to give him that.
I
wasn't expecting it.
Everything, even every out he made was a shot ripped at the third baseman. I mean, the guy was unbelievable in 1989.
I don't know why. And again, I'm just basing this off feel. I was like, he'll probably go Mays. I could see him say Bonds, Jeff Kent maybe, but I didn't have Mitchell. Mitchell was badass.
Oh,
you think
he
gets enough love?
What's that?
You think he gets enough love for what he did in the Giant uniform?
Well, the Giants do. The Giants organization. I mean, they invite him back. I think people forget. But I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would say it was like 47 jacks, like 125
no steroids,
RBIs.
Larry. It was
It was, and he worked with Willie Mays in spring training. He was a very good left fielder that year. Kevin Mitchell, 89. I mean, if you lived it, it was unbelievable. I mean, Bonds in 93 was spectacular. Bonds in 2001,
that's the most
that was Barry on the juice.
Okay.
But Mitchell in 89 was unbelievable.
47 homers and 129 RBI.
Will Clark even referenced it in his speech.
And the fact that he showed up, that let me know they were boys. That's respect, Larry.
Oh.
Like, we could bump heads at work, but the overall pictures are we boys. And when you show up to those ceremonies, I'm like, and him and Bonds, because I had him and Bonds, like, not they used to go at each other, but they weren't best friends. Who was anybody's Bonds' best friend? But that hug they gave, I'm like, man, that was Rodney Dangerfield. Respect.
Oh, respect. I mean, also, Will Clark was the alpha, and Barry got signed, and then Barry was the alpha. And so Will Clark, that 93 year, was not vintage Will Clark.
Okay, no doubt.
But he still was money down the stretch.
And imagine had he had some postseason at bats.
Yeah.
Which they should have had. What message would Larry Krueger send on this gloomy day? Because that's what it is for me, and I'm going to watch the game tonight. I can't wait. What message would you send Giant fans, the diehard of the diehards today? Larry Krueger, what would you tell them?
Well, I mean, it's obviously disappointing that they're not ready to run with the Dodgers and the Padres, but they're not ready to run with the Dodgers and the Padres, and you can't snap your fingers and make it happen overnight. You know, there's no shortcuts. You got to handicap the amateur draft, and you got to build up your prospects. You got to build up your organizational depth. So I like what Farhan's doing. They can't win the World Series this year. I would give them like less than 1% chance.
Real quick, Larry, let me back up. When you say you like what he's doing, elaborate, like, because I want to ask you, what's he doing outside of today?
Yeah, I mean, I like selling off non-essential pieces for prospects, and each one of these prospects they like for a certain reason. I don't know,
but isn't
none
that
of them
the
are
minimal
big
though?
time?
Yeah,
but
isn't that the the least you could do?
Yeah, but this is the Giants have been
don't
unwilling to
get me
do
Soto.
this. The Giants have been unwilling to do this. They've deluded themselves many years into thinking, oh, we got a shot. We'll just move this guy. Instead of being delusional, he's being realistic. He's looking at his roster and he's saying, you know what? Someone's going to give me something for Casali. Bye-bye Casali. Somebody's going to give me something for Ruff. Bye-bye Ruff.
Okay.
And I just think those are replaceable pieces. And if you can improve your depth in your farm system, it's probably a net positive.
There's a crazy story going on, and we kind of talked about it, but now it's like fact with Tom Brady and Ross in Miami and Sean Payton. It's crazy. I want to get your thoughts. We'll touch on it on the other side, but I'm looking at Kevin Mitchell's stats. He was a bad dude. Man. I already knew it in that poster again. I'll date myself. Who cares? But it's like the Pacific Stock Exchange. That's what they were. And I just feel like he gets forgotten about, Kevin Mitchell, until I see the ceremony, and I'm like, the family of the Giants didn't forget about him.
Oh, the Boogie Bear, Boogie Bear, man. He was awesome.
Is that what they called him?
Yeah, the Boogie Bear.
I forget that one. No, I didn't know that.
Oh, I had him on the show in the 90s, and he's like, hey, man, come down to San Diego. We'll ride we'll ride dude buggies. And I mean, he's just a cool dude.
Yeah. So we'll get into the Tom Brady story when we get back on the other side. Going fast at 3, Larry. The time's flying. But when you're happy and you know it in San Diego, there's no limit to how you can show it. Endless sunshine, coastline, and outdoor adventures inspire waves of feel-good vibes. Plan your trip today at sandiegoorg.org.
Now batting, Xfinity Internet. It's made to do.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
2:30 on a lovely Tuesday. No Steiny, Larry Krueger in. He'll be in tomorrow. We're rocking and rolling. And Larry, I just got to get your thoughts on this story with Stephen Ross, Tom Brady. And first, I'll take it back to the beginning. Did you think Tom Brady and Bruce Arians had a great relationship? Because I think it was fraudulent, and I think Tom Brady fake retired to get him fired. You say what to that?
I have no insight into the relationship between Brady and Arians. I'm reading the same things you're reading though, and I thought there was probably something there. But now Stephen Ross, the Dolphins lose their 2023 first round pick and their 2024 third round pick.
For what?
For tampering. According to this report, I guess the report found the Dolphins had impermissible communications with Tom Brady in 2019, 2020, and 2021, as well as former Saints coach Sean Payton in January of 2022. And so, and then Miami was also being investigated for tanking after Brian Flores claimed that Ross offered him $100,000 per game to intentionally lose in 2019. And the league found that comment was, quote, was not intended or taken to be a serious offer. So this is all these two draft picks that they took away from the Dolphins are all for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton, and has nothing to do with the whole Brian Flores.
Right.
He came out and said that Ross offered him $100,000 to lose games. So I found that interesting. It's like, in some ways, they're like putting that to bed, which is almost a bigger story.
Oh, it's owner wanting to lose.
I would say if there was any credence at all to Ross offering any amount of money for Flores to lose games, I thought there would be no other solution than to force Ross to divest himself of ownership of the franchise.
I thought it was going to happen, Larry.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bombshell.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, I kind of feel like this is more about putting that bombshell to bed and protecting Ross, where Goodell often protects the owners. He's protected Schneider, he's protected Irsay, he's protected many owners before. In this way, in this particular situation, I think they're docking them more than they should dock them for tampering. But they're also trying to say, but the whole deal with Flores, there's no credence to any of that. Yeah. So I think this is really needs to be broken down on many levels.
Where do you come out? Because I just you can't be God. Well, there's only one God. I better be careful here. But I don't like the word tampering, because it's like the story we heard about Durant. And Draymond was in the parking lot and called Durant right after they lost the finals to Cleveland in Game 7. But I think tampering's a joke. If grown-ass men and women want to do something or be a part of something, who are you to monitor the phones? It's kind of like, what FBI agent did you hire to prove that they were I mean, get over yourself, you know?
Well, I mean, there can't be tampering when you're not empowered to make decisions. Like Draymond Green could say anything he wants to anybody he wants, and since he's not running
Joe
the
Lacob
Warriors.
can't.
Yeah, Joe Lacob can't, Bob Myers can't, but Draymond Green can, because Draymond Green's not the general manager. Someday, if Draymond becomes a general manager, then several of these conversations that he's probably had would be viewed as tampering. But when you are the person in the seat, and that means you're the head coach, you're the GM, you're the owner, I think I know you're held to a totally different standard than the players. But do you see what I'm saying on this Ross thing? I feel like they've penalized him
getting
extra
him for something
harsh.
else.
Yeah, but
you didn't get him on, that you wanted to get him on.
Like, was the tampering for Brady and Arians, or for Brady and Peyton, really worth costing the Dolphins a first-round draft choice and a third-round draft choice? Probably not, but they're probably, I think that's
the other one go away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, you know what? We're going to make a big
race involved.
We're going to sign a backfire over here, penalize you like crazy for this stuff. But then we're also going to alleviate any blame that's directed towards you for something that's far worse, which is asking a coach to intentionally lose games.
No doubt.
Which would, in a league where you have huge dollars gambled on these games, would have been a monstrous controversy, and it would have led to it would have been the biggest story in the NFL for the year almost.
Man, it would have never left. How about that? That's how big that was. And when it initially was reported, I'm like, oh, he's done. Ross, I was like, oh, you're out.
He's going to have to divest.
And then, like you said, kind of the Jedi mind trick. No, nothing to see here.
Look over here. Don't look over here.
Not a problem at all. Let's go to Adam in San Francisco. He wants to talk about Niners training camp and JD. What's up, Adam?
What's up, Guru? Thanks for having me on. Larry, thanks, guys. I just really quickly, I heard who you had interviewed before about training camp and everything. I just wanted to give a fan's perspective, just sitting there, though, that like this, yeah, Trey's going to go through some ups and downs, everything like that. But this defense is really good. I mean, like Armstead wasn't out there today. Ward wasn't out there today. But just who they have on that D line, the back end with Hufanga and Ward, the linebacking crew. I wouldn't get too down about Trey's performance, even though it is training camp. But what I can say what is really enlightening is that defense. They got some dogs there, and they're ferocious. So just wanted to give my point.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I'll tell you the first thing that I noticed, my first takeaway when I spent a couple days at camp, is that the Niners first team DBs are legit.
Wow.
Seriously.
They were in the NFC Championship game.
But they're better now because you added Charvarius Ward, who's literally a press man corner. He'll lock you down.
Okay.
And he's a big bodied corner. So now you got a true number one corner. They haven't had a true number one since Dion.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up.
Who was that? What?
But so now you have a true number one corner. Then you got Mosley. You got great depth on the corner. Hufanga at strong safety is so improved.
Yeah.
And then you got Jimmy Ward, who I'm a huge fan of at free safety.
Guy.
So they're a little thin at safety, but they're really deep on the corner, and they got a true number one. So Hufanga, I think, could be a star. And I think Charvarius is easily the best player they added in the offseason. So you're adding two really good players in your secondary. And I don't know that they're going to be as good up front against the run without DJ.
Scary, man.
But if Drake Jackson is really impressive and he's running with the ones, so that probably means he is. Man, that's going to be something, because you got Bosa, you got Kinlaw, you got Armstead. But can that quarterback slip out the side door? He can't if you got Drake Jackson doing his thing. So, and the linebackers are elite. So the Niner defense could be spectacular.
And I'm thinking about, you know what? That's good news, Niner fans. Like, this is what we know. And you're talking about they got better. I feel it. But now you're inserting a new quarterback with musical chairs. That was the one thing that came out the State of the Union from Kyle Shanahan. And I keep harping on this, Larry, but damn, we've seen so many damn good defenses. The Niners offense is not going to be sorry. They got too much weaponry. But if opposing defensive coordinators can bring pressure, that's just going to stunt the growth, or it'll take longer for Trey to be what Jimmy was, and that was experience. So I'm just thinking, and you could be like, well, the glass could be half full, Goo. Why are you thinking about it like it's half empty? But I'm just thinking about this can really be, nail biting, like they need to hit with the O-line and Trey's mind. So those are two things that, if there's some turbulence in both, I mean, they could lose a game or two early. With the defense being stout. Like,
the NFL, Goo, you can lose any game.
Al Pacino.
Any game. Sunday. But I will say this. There is, how do the Niners protect Trey is going to be one of the major themes of the year. But, man, when you watch Trey's escapability and his ability to extend plays and then get outside the pocket, and then he's got that arm strength, I think you're going to see some, be careful if you're a defense, and you better be able to really cover, because this kid has got a great mind to him, but he also has a strong body and escapability, and he's keeping his eyes peeled down the field. He's not looking to run. He's not Lamar. He's not Michael Vick. He's more like a McNair or a Mahomes.
Well,
he's keeping his eyes down the field, and he's got the arm to deliver the football. And so he breaks contain, and we saw it in the Texans game when he hit Debo. He got outside the pocket. He broke contain. He extended the play.
And
then all of a sudden, Debo freed himself up, and Trey threw him a bullet.
Yeah. I expected, obviously not every play, but that's what Jimmy really wasn't that good at or could even do it. But we saw it with that, and we saw it. And here I go. People go, oh, come on, it's preseason. The bomb to Sherfield, that's when everything went crazy and berserk. Like, I know it's a preseason game. And then some tried to tell me, oh, it was underthrown. No, he let that thing go. That was an 80-yard play, if not longer. So
Jimmy looked good on the first look, but if the play got extended, oftentimes.
There you go. Let me ask you about Aaron Banks. Him coming out initially, how high or low were you on him? And now, like, how imperative is it that, he be what he was supposed to be when this team drafted him?
Well, I didn't watch tons of him at Notre Dame. He played left guard at Notre Dame. They were trying to work him in at right guard last year, but you could see his lack of quickness. He had a lot of bad weight on him. And, so
he said
now,
bad weight.
Yeah. I mean, now he's did his body and he's lost some of that fat. He's put on some muscle and you can see he's quicker. He's more sudden. Now he knows the offense better. And he's back at left guard, which was his comfortable spot at Notre Dame. So Trent Williams talked about it yesterday or the day before. He said, hey, this kid's done a lot of work. And so John Lynch doubled down on it. He took him in the second round late in the year when the kid was getting criticized for being inactive every week. Lynch is like, hey, man, we have tons of confidence in Banks and don't read his inactivity on Sundays as an indicator that we're somehow disappointed. He's got work to do. He'll do the work. We got confidence in him. Well, now here we are, year two. And he's the starter at left guard, and you're hearing Trent Williams say some good things about him. Still going to matter is can he handle interior quickness?
Yeah.
And he's still got to do it. But
because it's a hard job, Larry.
Yeah.
You got some dogs coming at you on every play.
And you got a reason, though, to believe that he's more prepared physically and mentally for the challenge.
Let me ask you about Armstead, because I'm going to be honest. I was banging the drum about Buckner, D-Buck. They got it wrong. And there were some times where the Niners pass rush, especially when Bosa was out, was like, what's going on, Armstead? You're supposed to be the guy. They chose you over D-Buck. Just hearing you glow, and I'll use the word euphoria in your voice. Is that a name we won't hear anymore about the Niners got it wrong? Because Armstead, to his credit, and I didn't give him a lot of love, Larry, and I should, from Sacramento, he had a good year last year for his standards. Is this defense so stout now to where that Buckner thing is just gone? Even if they take a step back. Like,
I mean, Buckner's a better, he's got more developed moves. He's really a terrific player. He was a top 10 pick. So Buckner's a blue chipper. So, and he wanted a ton of money, and you can't pay everybody, and they chose to pay Armstead. And I'll say this about Armstead, people react to Armstead based on stats. A D-line works together. And,
I believe.
You got Bosa, and you had Armstead, but you had no defensive end opposite Bosa, and so guys slipped out the side door, and Armstead didn't get those sack totals. Armstead was forced to be used at end. He's no longer an end. He's a defensive tackle, but he's really underrated. His functional strength is incredible. I mean, seriously, Eric Armstead can bull rush any guard right into the lap of a quarterback. He's got great strength, and to me, Armstead is about – people are always going to evaluate him based on the sack total. The sack total is going to be determined on can you pin the quarterback in.
I got you.
So I think the presence of Jackson and Ebukam and some of these guys, depth off the end, is going to make the quarterback step up into the pocket. And I think Kinlaw and Armstead are going to be, they're going to benefit from the increased talent at defensive end.
And you know what, Larry? That's why I like it. O-line too, but more so with the D-line. You could have one of the D linemen have the most sacks, but he's not the dominant. It's a give or take. I'm doing this. I'm so disruptive over here. They're doubling me. So you're one-on-one. You can get to the quarterback. All glory to you. But sometimes it's not just about, you're right. Oh, he had 18 sacks. A lot of times you could gauge it because Bosa's a beast. I call him Bosa the Barbarian. But other times you're like, this Larry's so disruptive, the guru's getting to the quarterback, And then it's up to the team to know how legit one is when you talk about, okay, skill set going up against the same type of offensive lineman to get to the quarterback. But it's beautiful the way it works.
The one thing with the Niners is they're so stacked up front. They got so many guys. They've had some injuries already. Mo Hurst done for the year, torn biceps.
Don't you hate that around camp? I'm watching NFL Network. Dallas lost Washington, the receiver, with a list Frank injury.
James Washington.
Yeah, just like damn.
Yeah, I know. It guys go down. Guys go down. It's just just the way it is. But the Niners, Coach Herrick is going to run his D-line out there in like hockey shifts. They got 1s, they got 2s, they got 3s, they got 4s. They got a lot of depth on that D-line.
Let me ask you this, just switching back to baseball. I know we got games left, more than a month. But if Larry Krueger had to pick a World Series right now with the trades that just happened, who would you have represented from the American League and the National League?
I'm definitely going.
Oh no!
I'm definitely going Astros in the American League.
I'm hoping, man.
I think it's the Astros year. They got Will Smith.
Yeah,
do you see that for Odorizzi today? That's going to help their pen.
That's man.
They rake. They just got Dusty. I think is ready. I think he's doing some of his best managing right now. I like the Astros. I like the Astros to get by the Yankees in the American League.
Isn't it real quick before you get the National League? I don't know where you came out with the cheating scandal. I'm an old school dude. I was like, I believe Altuve had something on him, but at the end of the day, go get him out. But how the Astros went from that to now, they might be, vying for a World Series ring. Like maybe the pandemic, and I can't make light of that, but that happened after that and it quieted. Like I feel like the Astros got off because the world was so focused on more important things. But here we are again, Altuve, the Astros, and they lost some players. Some players went different spots, some heavy hitters, and yet they're still there. Verlander.
Correa left, right, for the Twins.
Springer.
I'll say that, it's like we go too far. The Astros were an awesome team, and they cheated.
And then there we go. Give me some of that. Don't take it all away, Larry.
It's like Barry Bonds in 2001. Barry Bonds was an incredible player, and he cheated.
Why am I denying?
All right,
but he had MVPs in Pittsburgh.
I'm not saying that his Hall of Fame. He's got a legitimate. He's a legitimate player, but his 2001 stats were fraudulent. So, as the single season home run king, I think Barry's a fraud. But as one of the all-time greats and a first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famer, he's as legit as anybody. And I think same with the Astros. They are a truly great team, and they cheated.
Okay.
And they should have gotten more. I don't know. I don't know if they should have gotten more of a penalty, but the players should have gotten a penalty instead of just the manager and the GM.
Yeah, they just totally Manfred missed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the players totally skated, and that was wrong. So, but the Astros to me are the best.
National League.
They're the best team. Man, who are they playing?
I'm going Padres. I love watching the Dodgers play. I'm sorry, I can say it. But now you're telling me Soto's in between Tatis and Machado, and you talked about Musgrove because he's in his zone. I'm telling you.
I'll say Dodgers, I guess. I'll say Dodgers.
And that wouldn't be a bad for you and pleasure. That wouldn't be bad at all.
Astros beat the Dodgers. Dusty gets his ring.
Okay.
That'll be my pick.
All right. I'm not mad at any of that. And Larry, can I hit you with this? Random again. Best uniform in the NFL right now.
I love the I'm a Niner fan, so I love the Niners 94 throwbacks with the red and the white pants.
They're wearing that this year? Of course they are.
I don't know if they're going to wear them all year, but I love that. I even love the whites on the whites. I think those are good looking too.
Super Bowl.
I think of Deion dancing and Bad Moon Rising and that whole deal when Deion and Andre Rison fought and neither got ejected. But yeah, I love those Niner uniforms. Outside of the Niners,
the Raiders black. And I ain't a Raider fan, Larry, but that black.
Yeah. I like the Colts. I like the Colts unis. I like the Colts helmet. I like the Bears unis.
I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, those are the ones that
Cowboys white.
I hate everything about the Cowboys.
Okay.
I'm not going to
Tom Landry, you ain't a big fan?
No, I'm not a Cowboy guy.
Now we
I got the Steelers too. Steelers.
Oh, Steelers black. How could I forget that?
The Steelers
Dude, every uniform I'm in. And Tampa Bay, I don't know if you heard, they're going to go back to the not go back, but they'll wear. I forget what week. The old Steve DeBerg ones.
The really bright orange.
Oh man, is that dope?
Wow.
And I think they've already done that, but that'll be sick. I love the NFL because now they have allowed teams to change their helmets.
Yes.
So,
I like
that'll be dope. I wish there. Niners went to like a red or some kind of crazy helmet.
I like
because you could do
I like
it
the
easy.
metallic gold.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
It's basically just their helmet, except the gold part is like
like Notre Dame, what they've been doing, or Baylor.
It's like Oregon. Have you seen Oregon with their silver?
They got 100,000.
Almost looks like a mirror on their helmet. The Niner gold, shiny gold, looks really cool, I think.
I'm into uniforms, man. And it's funny, JD said the Giant City Connect. Like, how could baseball not know you're going to roll out these extra uniforms and not have all 30? Like, how ghetto is that? That's ghetto. Oh, we're only going to do 8 teams, and then next year we'll do it. Roll them all out. Like, it's not that hard, but the City Connect, I hate them. They remind me of the push-up, the old the ice cream.
Popsicle.
Yeah. I just hate everything about that uniform.
I'll say this. I love the hats. I love the orange hat. Though I don't need the Golden Gate Bridge. That's
but it looks like Gatorade with the G. Give me some Jack Clark black.
But I'm just saying I like that orange. I like that bright orange hat. I like that look. But the Giant thing looks so cheap. The only thing I'll say is positive is that it's their actual colors, right? It's orange and white, and they don't have any black, but it's orange, white, and black. Those are their colors. These teams that go to the City Connect, and it's not the like the
Rockies,
colors.
and I actually like it though. Like, what is that?
I'm big on keeping your colors. Like to me, it was a disaster when the Warriors went to orange. If you see Bobby Sura,
you're gonna get mad at me. The Thunder ones, I love the orange.
The orange, the Steph early days, I didn't like those unis.
I don't know why I like
orange. Is not part of the color scheme. Yeah. To me, it's more offensive if you change your colors than if you change your uniform.
What about the Padres when they tried to be the Dodgers and for years went to that blue?
Blue. I like the brown.
Stole their identity.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but the ones they got now, they look sick.
Yeah, with the old Fryer and the brown.
Sometimes just keep it simple, Larry.
Embrace what you got. Don't. And by the way, I mean, I like the White Sox.
City Connect.
The City Connect.
Man, they look like the Black Sox.
Those are cool.
Yeah,
those are cool. But the Giants ones, it just looks kind of cheap. Like they don't.
Got another trade, Larry.
They don't look like they have there's not enough trim.
Noah Syndergaard traded to the Phillies.
I read this morning the Phillies were all over Syndergaard.
And they need some pitching.
Yeah. Syndergaard doesn't throw as hard as he used to, and I would wonder about his health, but
at least eat for effort. You're trying.
Well, that's another team. So Philly's getting better.
Yeah.
So the Giants are really going to outrun Philly, at this point?
So Rodon looks like, I think they're likely out on Rodon.
Well, wait until this deadline.
Okay, we got an hour, Larry.
Well, it ends at 7 minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think there's like 20 minutes or 30 minutes after the deadline when stuff still starts
fax
rolling
machine.
In.
Yeah,
exactly. So like, if you don't hear the Giants move Rodon in the next 7 minutes, doesn't mean that he's staying. I would say give it to 2:30. Give it to 3:30, I should say.
And then we'll talk about everything that happened tomorrow, Larry. We still get down tomorrow. I had a great time. Damon and Ratto next. And you want to know who they have? They got some heavy hitters. iHeartRadio's Darren Smith at 3:45. And also Dodgers voice Joe Davis at 4:45. So that's a heavy duty lineup. And then you and I'll be at it tomorrow.
Sounds good, man.
What do you think? The Giants got action tonight?
I'll watch it. I
love that.
Let's hopefully, I'll watch it, but I can't. The vibe, unless the vibe's not going to be
Brandon
too good.
Bell, wake up. I get it, but wake up.
Just be competitive. Be competitive. Last night felt like they were thoroughly outclassed.
And the Dodgers were having fun when last year their lives were on the line. Like now they're just joking again.
Too many Dodger fans.
Damon and Ratto next.
Why do you find popping up so